Wendy Bell Radio is live, and I have the wrong picture on.
Wow, that's a good beginning. I like that. Good morning, America. Let's see, am I going to get a notification?
Morning.
Am I going to get a notification?
Oh, I got a Wendy Bell Radio is live.
I have not. Rats.
I did it. No, I got positivity.
I have multiple personalities.
Watching.
Wow. Come on.
You guys always get the same one. I'm the one that gets to see the crazy one.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's rude.
Oh, Utah's in his house.
Nice. Let's see. Come on. Utah is one we do not get a lot of.
Virginia.
So spread the word.
Indiana.
Hi, guys. Welcome.
Albany.
I thought I would dress up for you today. Kind of a Christmassy top.
Hey, there's one, Jerry from, oh, wow, it's coming in fast today. Coming in hot.
Wow.
One of your favorite places, Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
Fort Myers.
I think this is a little too bluish. There we go. Oh, you guys. So we have a limited number of these. The awesome bomb pop
of tumblers, period.
Yes.
We're under 100 left. Oh yeah. Because
this is, I will tell you this, and this is by no means asking for you to go buy one. Not at all. I'm just telling you. No, it's not. I'm just telling you, this is the nicest drinking vessel that I've had for daytime drinking. I needed to put that out there. For day drinking, my water, etc., my sparkling Zhuzh water. This is beautiful. So if you're interested, these are handmade. Everything is exquisite about it.
I threw a lot of mine. I am giving a lot of my old ones to Goodwill because I end up using the same ones every day.
Oh, I was going to say, you threw a lot of Wendy Bell Radio old ones to Goodwill?
No,
what?
Like my other ones.
Anyway, all this stuff is available on the app. Wendy Bell Radio Network. Most of you are watching on there right now, which is outstanding. Hi and good morning. And thank you for chirping in and telling us where you guys, Northern Arizona. I love that this has become our thing, that every day you weigh in from your section of not just America, but Earth. We've gotten how many different foreign countries, Brock? Recently we had Ukraine.
Yeah. Yes, they do come with lids.
Mm-hmm.
And straws.
And straws. They're super nice. Kentucky. What's going on, Donna? Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you. Yeah.
Tammy in Texas ordered an etched coffee cup for her hubby.
That's mine. I like it.
I
like
really
it because
do too.
I don't know if you can see the etching on it.
Yeah, you can.
You can. And then on the back, of course, it says facts.
I love appreciate everybody who's
oh my gosh
ordered something, and we're thankfully caught up to where when you order it, it's made and shipped out within 3 or 4 days.
What do we have? Close to 4,000 individual items that you've sent out?
I'm sorry?
How many individual items do you think you've sent out?
6,500.
What?
Oh, yeah. Portugal?
What?
Ron, are you serious?
1,900 orders, and some people order 7 shirts a month. Oh, my heavens. Yeah. That is crazy. What's up, cowboy? Good to see you there. We got Maryland, the People's Republic of Maryland.
You guys putting where you're from.
I love it.
Helps us show other people.
Hey, this is spreading like wildfire.
Yeah, it shows other people who aren't
Massachusetts.
Don't necessarily believe us.
Florida.
Liberal Colorado.
Georgia. I love it. You guys mean a lot to us. I think you know that.
The tumblers are made USA.
Come on. Anything that we've run into a snarl with, and it's really only been clothing. Hoodies. That has been difficult because with where things are supply chain wise and just inflation wise, the costs of things right now are outrageous. So until either that settles down, we have to kind of farm out to some other places, never China. But we will let you know what the situation is, and there will be a disclaimer on the app. If you like something and you click on it, it'll tell you this shirt is made in Mexico or it is made in Bangladesh or wherever, but never China. So exciting. Washington State. This is really fantastic.
Mississippi.
Florida Panhandle. I hope it's warmer there. It is. I know it's warmer there, but it
Right.
is
It's
cold.
25 degrees here.
It's cold. It is December. I get it. We've had no snow yet.
Way to jinx that.
I know, right?
Right?
Blizzard tonight. Good job.
Yeah.
It usually happens after
Way
I
to
wash
go.
my car. Blueberry tea is awful.
Why aren't you drinking coffee?
Because I don't need to be like.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I have a day. It's going to be a day.
It's going to be a day.
A big day.
All right, here we go.
Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, and welcome aboard. Welcome to the family. If you're just stumbling upon your home for common sense conservatism, you have landed in the right spot. This is the Wendy Bell radio program. As always, we are honored to share as much time with you as you can spare. I know a lot of you take us along with you wherever you go on the Wendy Bell Radio Network app. If you're listening in the car on the radio, hello. We're delighted to spend time with you, as I've already said, and to start with the most patriotic thing we do all day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. I got stuck in traffic on the way into the radio studio today. I normally leave a couple hours before airtime. Brock and I are up early, well before dawn, 3:34 a.m., chirping back and forth, kicking over things about what we might want to talk about today. And I thought, because the kids are off of school and I didn't have to horse around with getting everybody up and make sure they made their buses, et cetera, I thought I would leave early, watch the sunrise as I drive through the neighborhood, hit the parkway and come on in. And that all came to a screeching halt about 30 feet onto said parkway. Brake lights. Now, this wasn't the kind of brake lights where you're like, oh, there's, people are all merging together. Look, it's holiday week. You can already tell in the neighborhoods and whatnot, most people are taking this week off, and wonderful if you can. This was bumper to bumper, not going anywhere, no sign of anything. But I could kind of crane my neck and see around the bend, there were flashing lights. I could see one of those arrow signs pointing everybody into the left lane. But I had the worst possible perspective. I'm stuck behind a work truck, a giant work truck. And next to him in the lane next to me is a tractor trailer. We are going nowhere. It's maddening, right? For a while, you can handle it. You're like, wow, this is inconvenient. And then you start worrying. You're like, well, how bad is it? How long does this stretch? So I plugged in my Google Maps, corroborated it with my Waze app. It said I had about 25 minutes to go to get to work. Okay, so I kind of hunkered down, put it in park. We weren't going anywhere. Started scrolling through emails. About 15 minutes later, the guy in the truck in front of me gets out of his truck, gets out of the cab of his truck, and closes the door and walks away from his car. From his truck. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not good. And I'm starting to get a little edgy. You know, when you start getting that blood boiling thing. And to make matters worse, for some reason, the lane to our right, so not my lane, not the middle lane, but the lane to the right, people are going by. I'm sandwiched. I can't even fiddle my way over if I want to. It's an exit only lane. But if I look up ahead, it looks like there's some traffic moving. I'm starting to get agitated. You know this feeling. It's been 20 minutes of not moving, and the dude is still not in his truck. All I want to know is what's going on. Just give me some. I can't even see. I'm blocked. My hands on the steering wheel. I'm getting a little white knuckled, right? I'm like, if I was a smoker, I'd be smoking in the car, right? Finally, 25 minutes later, the guy comes back to the cab of the truck, gets in, and slowly starts to roll. I wanted to weave a tapestry of profanity that has not been, you know what I'm talking about. But of course, the same person inside of you is like, why are you getting so frustrated? There's nothing you can do. You left with plenty of time. You're not going to be late. You can either relax. Okay, that is a very easy thing to say. It's another thing when you're stressed out. But as is usual, as traffic starts to break up a little bit, and we can tell that everybody has to merge into the lane I'm in, it's amazing. People behave. They understand the rules. I'm not going to tailgate the truck in front of me to block you from getting over to you, from your lane that's ending. We do what we are supposed to do. Everybody behaves. We get along. We cooperate. And as I get up to where all these flashing lights are and all of these workers, there's got to be, and this is no joke, an 1/8 of a mile stretch of the right 2 lanes that have been blocked. There's about a dozen dudes actually working, not the one guy who's sweeping and the 11 other people who are watching, right? That's always fun. They're actually working. You can see that there has been some hideous accident in the overnight hours that has taken this long to get to this point to clean up. There's fluid all over the place. They've got the dirt down, like that sand, gravel stuff to absorb it. And now these guys, don't you feel like the biggest jerk when you're inconvenienced, darn it, and then it's possible that somebody has lost their life up ahead of you? I'm sitting in traffic. I'm looking around. I see all the garbage that's all over the right. So I'm getting rankled even more. And then you feel like a jerk. Oh, I was inconvenienced by 30 minutes. Oh, what a big deal. And you move along your merry way and along you go. I'm tired of this traffic disaster that we can't seem to get past the barrier of. It seems like every time the traffic for us in this country opens up, and it feels as though we're going to hit 55, or the way I like to drive, 75. It feels like we're going to get there. Right when we get to hitting cruise control, there's another detour or another work zone or another danger falling rock or something else to slow us down and snarl us back into the creeping hold. This is obviously metaphorical for what we're going through in this country. This desire for some or by some to be the traffic masters of our world, to not allow us to actually all see the roadmap ahead and see that it's quite clear. Traffic is moving beautifully. There's nothing to worry about. We've got this. You have the skills you need to navigate from point A to point B. If only the people waving the flags would just get the hell out of the way and let you go. And yet here we are, snarled, told it's going to take some time. Try to be patient. We're doing the best we can. And sadly, everything that I find, every bit of research that I locate, that I chew on, that I try to corroborate, that I source to you, proves otherwise. Not only is there no accident, not only are the weather conditions fine, not only is there no pothole, no debris on the road, it is open, smooth sailing. They know it is, and yet they continue to keep us back. I'm done. I'm so over this. All I want is someone out there who has the guts, who has the class, who has the character to just stand up and tell us the truth. Breaking news at a competing radio station this morning. Oh no, an uptick in positivity cases in the region. This could be bad. Hospitals could be overwhelmed. Let it go. Get off the road, move aside, and let the rest of us along our way. I have a board for you today that I believe really encapsulates everything we're going to be talking about. I have a study I also want to read you. Look, when I share information with you, I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm telling you this data factors into my mind and plays a role in why I doubt so much of what we're told. In fact, I haven't believed anything we've been told in probably a year. Of course, the challenge is up for you to decide, to research yourself, to review it, and to make up your own mind. I find it very interesting that the social media knives are out. Various platforms aren't pleased with me because I want to share with you things that the road crew ahead doesn't want you to know. They want you stuck in your car, waiting for their direction so they can guide you the way they want you to go. Just tell us the truth. Just tell us the truth. And the truth goes like this. This new variant of COVID is our ticket to 75. This new variant is going to get us through the end of the jam. It is a good thing. I don't want anybody to get sick. I don't want anybody to die, but I am tired of the lies. I am tired of the manipulation. I am tired of the purposeful propaganda, and I'm tired of people like me who love this country. The continual push to silence us. That is why this platform and what we do is so very, very important. And I want to thank you for making it possible. I was sitting next to two women at Dr. Darren Dubiak's office the other day. We were shooting a video, and we were doing a video of testimonials, where they were when they picked up the phone, having heard me talk about AIM, Body by AIM 360, where they were when they finally decided, I need to call, I need to make an appointment, and where they are now. And the two women could not have been more different ages, different look, different diagnoses, different everything, same result. Off medications, off anti-anxiety drugs, off heart medication. Down one, 60 pounds, the other, 50 pounds. Understanding what it is from the inside out that was making them feel the way they did. This is what Body by AIM 360 is all about. I'll tell you about them every single day because I know you out there are close to making that decision that you've had enough too. It takes one phone call to get the process started. Dr. Dubiak and his team can help you too. BodybyAIM360.com. Check them out. It will blow your mind. Call 412-227-9255. Make your appointment today. All right, we have some very basic numbers. I'm not going to overload you today with all sorts of figures and facts and science, but it's a very basic rebuttal of everything this administration, its media and big tech and big pharma are trying to push on you as masters of your road. And it's coming up next on the Wendy Bell radio program.
You know what the Omicron variant is, to stick with your
Analogy.
The Omicron,
Omicron? I say Omicron.
whatever.
Whatever.
Is the guy on the highway driving with his four-ways on.
Yeah.
He's not stopping you.
Right, but he's not allowing you around him.
But everyone's darting
That's
around.
hilarious.
He makes it more dangerous.
Yes.
Than the Omicron is the four-way blinker.
Or no, you know what it is?
I don't know where I'm going.
It's the trucker who doesn't want you to Scooby around, and so he hogs both lanes so you can't make a move, thinking that he knows what's going. I mean, and oftentimes I defer to truckers because people who do this for a living usually know what's going on. But you're right. It's somebody who's in a really bigger vehicle. You can't get around them with the lights that tell you don't.
And then they'll slow down and speed up, and you're like,
I just want to get around you.
Yeah, get your GPS. Trust your GPS.
Yeah.
You're obviously not doing it very well.
Right.
Trust your GPS.
But there's and the hardest part.
I'll tell you what really me off is when you go to pass them and you see them like this.
Talking, they're on their phone. I'm like, I'll choke you. Yeah. I'll throw you down the steps.
I'm gonna stop my car, grab you, throw you down the steps.
That's how I felt today. And the worst part for me was my vision was blocked. So I could see people up ahead going, but I couldn't. And I was immediately blocked by the two guys. I'm like, what's going? I literally almost on the Parkway East got out of my car to be like, what's going on? Which is a good idea. Never.
Because then there'd be somebody in another car that does another radio station going. I saw Wendy Bell get out on the road.
She's trying to direct traffic.
I hate her.
That's not a good idea. Well, maybe it's
wow, here we go.
Uh-oh. We'll be the judge of that.
We should get a tiny little portable staircase for your area. And then you can throw down whatever you don't want. Even like some bad things,
anything. I'm struggling right now because I'm wearing a flowy blouse that is rather amorphous. And so I'm trying to clip it with a hair clip. So it creates an illusion of shape, and I'm failing. When I was on TV, I used to use masking tape, potato chip clips, anything. There we go. Creates the illusion of a big
ego.
No, not really.
I know.
Yeah. Wow.
There's only
so much magic.
I mean, let's let's not ask too much of a hair clip.
So I want to find this article I stumbled upon this morning. The city in which I live, the county, which is as backwards as the day is long. This is the breaking news headlines on one of the local publications. The county has detected Omicron in the wastewater, indicating a COVID-19 surge is on the way. Does it really indicate that a COVID-19 surge is on the way? Or are you guys just desperate because you don't know how to do what you do to find a story that doesn't suck? Okay? I could think of 5 million things while sitting in traffic, looking around at the filth, the garbage that people, whether it's the waste trucks that drive by and there's jazz flying all over the place, or the people who eat a Big Mac and decide that's a great place to dump it, the people who throw out their cigarette butts all over the place, right? Filth. Why don't we do a story on getting a bunch of volunteers together? Because God forbid our government should do one of anything that is worthwhile, right? And let's go pick up some garbage. I would read a front page story on that. Boom, give me something. But no, the county has detected Omicron in the wastewater, indicating a COVID-19 surge is on the way. I want you to hear how this is set up, because this is all they know how to do. We're going to take something that could be maybe something, and we're going to make it a freaking 12-car pileup. Okay? Traces of Omicron, the newly emerged and extremely infectious variant of COVID-19, this sounds scary, have been found in the wastewater in the Pittsburgh area. Blah, blah, blah. While there have been no confirmed cases of Omicron in the county. Now, to their credit, that is at least in the second sentence. Usually it's buried below the fold, behind the real estate listings and the vacant lots for sale, right? Where it's just like all this stuff that we just said to scare the liver out of you. Yeah, there's really nothing to worry about. While there have been no confirmed cases of Omicron in the county, sewage samples show that it is present at some level, meaning that it's likely just a matter of time before it becomes the dominant strain of COVID-19 in Southwest Pennsylvania. When this happens, now I'm going to guarantee that the person writing this is no scientist. Okay, but don't let that get in the way of you opining, extrapolating, giving us a would-be magic 8-ball feels like kind of possibility. When this happens, transmission rates will climb even higher. It's just a matter of time before it becomes the dominant strain here. Currently, the county is seeing about 600 new cases a day. Okay, that's not the story. How many people are in the hospital? What's going on in the hospitals? Is it madness? Is it mayhem? Are you guys really seeing an uptick in sick people? And if you are, which apparently you aren't, tell us about those people. What kind of people are they? Are they people who are in for other reasons, who just happen to be tested positive for Omicron? Or are they people who've been vaccinated who are now having a side effect with Omicron? Or are they unvaccinated people? Well, we don't get that kind of granular data when the headline is, this is going to be huge. Enough. As Western Pennsylvania enters this new phase of the pandemic, there is no new phase of the pandemic. And the board behind me is going to illustrate this. Rudimentary math, of which I can attest, because I have rudimentary math skills. I can take the population of the United States from the 2020 census. I can then deduct from that number the number of people under the age of 5 who are not eligible yet for a vaccine. And that will leave us with a group of people who can be vaccinated. Then we're going to put on top of that how many people reportedly in the country have had at least one dose, both doses, or both doses and a booster. The triple protected. And then after we have that number, we can do some easy division here that my sons can do, and we can come up with a percentage of people who are protected, allegedly. And that number is staggering. Why isn't that the story? Nope. It's in the wastewater. Get ready for Armageddon. It's going to be a dark winter, ladies and gentlemen. Or is it? Or is it? You're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program. Back right after this. This is interesting, though. The Allegheny County Health Department is pulling back on investigating cases of COVID-19, only doing so when someone is younger than 5 or older than 50. That sucks. I fall into that group. The first group is too young to be vaccinated, and the second faces a greater risk of severe COVID-19 illness. They used to do contact tracing. Now they're not doing that anymore.
Well,
they don't care. That means this variant is mild.
What else is in the sewer water?
Filth.
I mean, it's sewer water, for God's sake.
That they test it makes me just blah, 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 blah.
Where'd they get the test?
I don't know. Did I ever tell you the story about how when after our basement got flooded, we were worried that maybe there was a crack in the sewer line or something was wrong, and so the water and sewer guys came out and they put in the camera. It's fascinating, okay? So they literally have like an NCIS truck that you go in and sit in, and the guy's got the mechanized thing and he can show you. So he's snaking the camera up, and it's really, the sewer line is really quite large. It's very big. And at that moment, apparently one of my children had flushed the toilet.
Nice.
Yeah. And he's like, well, at least you have a healthy boy. I was like, and what's worse is he was recording at the time. And so I have a recording of my sons going down this. Yes.
The best of you is, Bobby, the best of you is going down the drain.
That's right. I've got proof of your health. There you go. I know you guys didn't need to hear that. That was kind of gross. Sorry.
What is the point of testing the sewer water? What's the point?
Well, I guess they just have certain things that they need to be able to do. So I don't know. I just thought that was, and it's just not. I want to thank our friends at Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. It is that time of year to build fires in the fireplace. And if it's been a while since yours has been professionally cleaned, the chimney, you haven't had it inspected. Nobody's been in there looking around, making sure no critter has created a nest up at the top, or something's gone weird, or, the smoke isn't leaving the way it should. If you live in Allegheny, Washington, and Beaver counties, I do want to recommend our sponsors, Piccadilly Chimney Sweeps. These guys have been in business for a long time, 35 years, two brothers, all right? And they hire only the best certified chimney sweeps. And there's this rigorous process, a certification process these guys have to go through. And they're really good at what they do. The testimonials from you to me after hiring them have been outstanding. You say they know what they're doing, they're good at what they do, they're neat, they're courteous, they're quick, and they're affordable. Boom. What more can you ask for? Don't pick any sweep. Piccadilly Chimney, 412-221-0196, piccadillychimney.com. All right.
I saw that story yesterday, and I'm like,
you saw it too?
Oh yeah. I was like, I'm not sending this. This is just gonna make her angry.
It's all hyperbole. It
goes back to the could be on the verge.
It seems like it's.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was something about hospital. Oh, here we go. This is good. Because Omicron spreads so rapidly, this may push some Southwest Pennsylvania hospitals to the breaking point. That's a tremendous stretch. Tremendous. Brock, did you hear that?
Oh, it did not.
Because Omicron spreads so rapidly, this may push some Southwestern Pennsylvania hospitals to the breaking point. Bah, bah, bah. Come on.
This just in. Sewer water's dirty.
I mean.
News at 11.
Right? We'll throw something together to prove what we've told you later tonight.
You got poop water on you.
God bless these guys. My goodness. They are troopers. Like when I did have sewage in the garage, and the dude that Andy recommended came out, and he's in the poop water, and he's digging his hands in there, and I was like, and right, and he's done, and he wipes his hands on his pants, and I'm like, do you want to come inside and wash those? And he's like, yeah, that'd probably be good. And he comes inside. I'm like, this is not a job for sanitizer, okay? You need the full surgical scrub brush. Ugh, so nasty.
Good.
What are we saying good?
Nothing. No.
Yes.
1,800.
Nice.
On the app.
Yay. That's awesome for us.
Yeah, especially because something you said yesterday got
YouTube
in their
boxers in a bunch.
And Jason and I spent an hour and a half probably yesterday
protesting it.
No, coming up with an alternative, and
I lost the appeal. Go figure. YouTube doctors,
Yeah.
Look, and here's what I said.
Say it in 4 seconds.
You know, I said, here's some facts or some stuff that you should research. Jagoffs. Welcome back, everybody, to the Wendy Bell Radio program. I direct you to the glorious BS board behind me. Yes, Brock, I know I didn't pull it up. There you go.
Time to cut the crap, because Wendy's breaking out the Ireland Contracting BS board.
So I came up with this phrase, and I think it's very apropos for what we're going to be talking about today. Because if we're going to continue the analogy of being stuck in traffic, and I think it is one of those universals that everybody can get behind. It is infuriating. All you want to know is what's going on. How long am I going to be here? How soon is the accident going to be cleaned up? Right? It sounds callous, but really at the end of the day, you're like, I just can't sit here anymore. I'm going to go nutty. Here's what it says on the board. To understand the truth would be to admit that everything you believe or everything others have told you is fact is a lie. Again, to understand the truth would be to admit that everything you believe or that you've let other people tell you that you believe is a lie. Every single day we do this program, I get one step closer to believing that everything is a lie. And it is absolutely infuriating. Because the lies have had true life and death consequences. The lies and the cover-ups and the conflation and the deception and the demand that through all of this, just because certain people have certain jobs, it is your duty, in fact, your patriotic obligation to do as you are told. So as we march through today, talking about this Omicron variant, we should be celebrating what is rather positive news. It really is. And again, I don't want anybody to be sick, but if what we're learning and what we learned from the beginning from that doctor who's head of the Medical Association in South Africa is any indication, this variant is milder. It does not lead to hospitalization. It does not lead to increased risk of death. This should be great. We should be walking ever closer to that herd immunity. Remember? We haven't heard about that in a while. Haven't heard about that. It started with about, well, we need about 60% of the people, Dr. Doom said. Then it became 70%. Then, well, what we really want is like 80 to 85%. And then he went so high as 95%. If there was any indication that that man is full of everything that the water and sewer people tested in the sewage samples, right? Come on. So we did some basic math, as I told you in the last segment. You've got 306.8 million Americans, if you take out everybody under the age of 5, who's not yet eligible for that jab stuck in their arm. You have 306.8 million Americans eligible for a jab. You've got 241 million Americans who've already gotten at least one, as many as 3 jabs. All right? And you do that math and you do some fancy division. You have 79%, ladies and gentlemen, 79% of us, which is clearly herd immunity, clearly. But they don't talk to you about that. So when I look at this 79%, tell me why the focus is on producing more ridiculous testing kits, spending more money, and keeping this charade going longer. What are 500 million test kits going to do to move the needle? Nothing. Absolutely zero. Not to mention, and this is the interesting sidebar, there is yet no plan, there is no website, there is no company that's yet been selected to mass produce these tests. There is no distribution arrangement. There's no framework of any semblance of anything reasonable. But Joe Biden the other day, and we have a great audio soundbite from a New York Times reporter who's going to ask Jen Psaki this question. So let me get this straight. And kudos to the cruise control media, who are now sort of starting to wake up to this. And they're starting to say, wait a minute, we've been down this road. We've seen the flag man before. We've been snarled in traffic for 2 flippin' years. We don't want to go back to gridlock. Listen to this very pointed question, which I think is excellent.
You don't yet have a contract or a contract to announce. You can't say when the website is going to be up, but sometime in a matter of weeks. You can't say how many tests people are going to be able to order at a time or whether there will be a limit on them. You can't say when they're going to receive the tests or how quickly they will be shipped, but that all of that will happen in a matter of weeks.
Here's what people should know across the country. Right now, there are 20,000 testing sites that are available. We have quadrupled the size of our testing program in the last 4 months. That's not including the announcement yesterday. We are also working with FEMA to open up testing sites. One of the first will open up in New York City before the end of the week. So accelerated emergency contract means they're working to finalize the emergency contract. And it would be applicable to that would be all of the FDA approved testing. They would all be options for it, testing kits, right? We're not going to put the website up until we have the first batch of the 500 million, which we expect to get in January, because we don't want to create confusion for the American people out there.
You don't yet have a contract.
I want to create confusion now for the American people, because it's been perfectly clear, smooth sailing on this highway since January 20th. Got it. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me, what do 20,000 additional testing sites do? Anybody? What's that going to do for you? So you're going to find out whether or not you test positive. And then what? What do you do then? Well, you could say, once you get through it, which a lot of these cases, apparently, 60% we are hearing early rumblings of are asymptomatic. Look, I had COVID. I can tell you it wasn't asymptomatic. I would love to be on this end of it, to be like, I have this tickle in my throat. It's kind of weird. Oh, you've got Omicron. Well, I guess I'll cancel my weekend plans and stay inside away from people. Okay. Beyond that, what does it do for you? Does it get you out of your employer's mandate that you roll up your sleeve and get vaccinated? Because you'll have that natural immunity. You'll now be part of the crowd that I'm in, who argue there's no need to get something synthetic pushed into your body when your natural, fabulous self has already overcome it. And where studies show the natural immunity is stronger than and more lasting than the vaccine. So what is exactly accelerating the number of test sites or accelerating the number of test kits available and making them free? Now, I would have liked that earlier this year, when I think we probably spent $200. Each test kit was what, 20 to 25 bucks, something like that. And so you test, and then you make sure at the end of it that you're clear. So each of us in the family blew through a couple, right? Or at least one, because some of them have 2 tests inside. But what's that really going to do for you? Is that going to make life more free? Because now you've already had COVID, you're done? No. Nothing changes. Does that enable you to push back against people like Dianne Feinstein, who thinks it's within her purview, in her, throne in the state of California, to be able to tell you that you can't get on an airplane without a passport that says you've been dutifully vaccinated? Well, why would you need to do that? This changes nothing. What changes is everybody getting it. Period. Coming up, I'm going to walk you through what I think is very alarming. I'm not going to tell you what to believe. But in the last 4 or 5 weeks, have been digging in on a specific subject. And the subject was what caused Facebook the other day to take down my video. And it is this: are people who have gotten vaccinated more susceptible to the virus? Beyond that, are people who have been vaccinated more susceptible to severe reaction, hospitalization, and death? That is scary. Everybody I love is vaccinated. Brock's wife, my husband, one of my sons, my extended family. This is scary. Think about your elderly parents. They did what they were told. You're older, regardless of how healthy you are. Because you are older, you have a greater risk of dying from this than, say, my children do. We are agreed on that. But what if we know, what if we've known since before these vaccines were released to the public in December of last year? What if we had known that these red flags were not just real, they were ignored? That's where I'm going to be going. Coming up, we're also going to have in the 10 o'clock hour, right up, straight up 10 o'clock, a friend of mine. His name is Dr. Human Norchasm. He's an immunologist. He is a public health advocate. He and I have very, very different views about the vaccine. I appreciate hearing his perspective. I don't agree with him. But I will say he's got a lot more science in his wheelhouse than I do. He has a very strong argument. And I think it is so worthwhile. Rather than sending out test kits to see if you actively have an infection, which only helps you now. So you go to a test site, they swab you, you wait, it comes back. Nope, you're clear. Jason just went through this. So then Jason goes next door to Dunkin', gets a cup of coffee, and picks up COVID there. So really, when you think about testing, it is rather ridiculous. You're only tested negative in that moment. Everything from that moment forward is a crapshoot. Rather than testing, and Dr. Norchasm is pounding this into the Biden administration, and he will on this program. Why aren't we testing people's immunity? Did you already have it? I have an easy answer why they won't let that happen coming up in just a minute. The Simkovich Concussion Institute, I want to give you the number off the top because I think it's important for anybody who has suffered a brain injury, who doesn't know where to go. It's important to know a place you can turn that is safe and that gets results. 412-366-3700, Simkovich Concussion Institute. What goes on there is nothing short of miraculous. It's a revolutionary procedure that Dr. Simkovich does with his hands, with the palate of the mouth, and with the skull, non-surgical, mind you, that not only can alleviate the crippling symptoms of traumatic brain injury and concussion, it accelerates brain healing. And it doesn't have to be a fresh injury. If you were bunked on the head years ago and you haven't been right since, call him. 412-366-3700, SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. Of course, they're not going to pivot and do what's reasonable and open up traffic and allow us to drive through because they need us snarled, waiting for the next mandate, waiting for their guidance. We'll talk about a new study coming up in just a minute on the Wendy Bell radio program. How much time do I have, Brock?
Say
How much time do I have? Not a lot.
3 minutes.
I'll wait. Excuse me while I clip my shirt, creating the illusion of a
Do you
shape.
want Jason to come in and clip it?
Why would I want Jason to come in and clip it?
I can.
No, it's just rather, it's kind of MacGyver-ish. You know, MacGyver who could make a bomb out of like a piece of thread
Bubble
and
gum.
some gum, yeah.
I
Right?
know who MacGyver is.
He was
I
like the
grew up
Wonder
with MacGyver.
Twins. He was like the Wonder Twins.
The old MacGyver, not the new one.
There was a new MacGyver?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can we not come up with something fresh? The only thing they haven't done yet, again, is Fantasy Island. That's all I'm going to say.
Can
Or
he
Dallas.
see you in the hallway,
Yes.
please?
Hold, please. Sir. What does he think?
He loved it. He found the shirt on another person's lawn cake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that.
Hey, so when you go to AIM,
Yes. BodybyAIM360.com.
yes, do you go to get the script to go get blood, or do you get blood there?
No, so you go there, you meet with Darren
Okay.
and do a brief blah, blah, blah. And he gives you the prescription and then you go. And the thing that's great about the prescription is it will cost you $199, but it's about, I think it's $800 or $900 worth of lab work. So they eat a cost on that.
Yeah.
Then you wait, it's usually a week, maybe 2, and then AIM gets the results and they compile your binder and then they set up an appointment. And that's the long one. That's when you really sit down because he goes over your lifestyle. Like,
I know it sounds like we're doing a commercial, but I'm legitimately
well, yeah,
asking.
he goes through everything.
Well, I saw your binder.
All of the biomarkers. Well, that's how we found out Michael was allergic to gluten.
Right.
And Jack had other things because we were going for different reasons, but they tested their saliva. They'll do genetic testing. They do all of this other. It's crazy. And it's the transparency of the pricing. It's all on the website. You see what it costs.
Shocker.
I know, right? But yeah, the blood is the
I think
beginning.
I'm gonna.
I absolutely would. 100%. He's delighted. He's really excited for you.
Oh wow.
He's really excited for you to come in. He's like, I really hope Brock comes in.
I think I'm going to. There we go.
All right, so I think a very meaningful conversation with Dr. Human Nurchasm coming up in the 10 o'clock segment. But this is the beginning of why I'm walking this road with you. And the article I'm going to read after Dr. Nurchasm in the 10:30 block is super important. And in this time, I'm going to give it to Jason so we can pop it up on the app under the resource page. I forgot to do that. But I want to read you this. Ultra-vaxxed and boosted UK seeing quadruple the COVID cases they had before anyone was vaccinated. Consider that. I told you this on Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. I told you about a study I was reading out of Oxford that was saying this, and now slowly it's getting out. Over 90% of the population 12 and older in the United Kingdom has been vaccinated. 90%. And 55% have received their first of many booster shots. Despite being protected from COVID-19, they're experiencing their worst surge in cases since the beginning of the pandemic, prompting many to question whether the vaccines themselves actually do anything to stop or even slow the spread. In fact, the average daily cases reported this week are nearly 4 times as high as they were before anyone in the nation had been jabbed. The first vaccine administered in the UK was December 8th of last year. At that point, there'd only been 4 days since the beginning of the pandemic when more than 25,000 cases were reported. Today, they hit a grim milestone. Meanwhile, nations across the world, including the United States, and the grim milestone is more than the 25,000 cases they first experienced when the pandemic started. Meanwhile, nations across the world, including the United States, persist in pushing the injections as a way of stopping the virus. The data, however, is crystal clear, but the massive levels of indoctrination throughout this pandemic panic are preventing much of the masses from connecting the dots and coming to the obvious conclusion. The vaccines do not work as advertised, and mandates are ridiculous. The current narrative is that the vaccines protect people from needing hospitalization or from dying. But the data contradicts this notion as well. If the jabs don't stop the spread and they do not substantially reduce hospitalizations or deaths, why are governments so militant about jabbing every man, woman, or child? Why are corporate media journalists not asking questions about the efficacy or the safety of the jabs based on what the data is telling them now? Hello? Why are hospitals and medical associations dismissing doctors and nurses who follow the science instead of big pharma's narrative? And most importantly, why are millions of Americans still so concerned about whether their friends and family have taken ineffective and potentially dangerous injections? Big Pharma has used its tremendous influence over government, corporate media, big tech, academia, and the healthcare industry to gaslight the masses into becoming their strongest advocates. It's true. Average American citizens who have ignored the science and listened only to what they're being told by their betters have become adamant defenders of Big Pharma's profits. Many are doing it because since they took the jabs, they want others to be in the same class. Getting more people injected helps them feel more justified in being in control. We're in a post-truth society in which science is ignored for the sake of making people feel like they didn't make the worst permanent decisions of their lives. This, more than anything else, is why the news like the UK's inexplicable COVID spike doesn't sway very many people into admitting the jabs don't work. Something is going on. And it is not dangerous. It is not a conspiracy theory. It is not fringe. It is not right wing. It is not Trumpist for me to tell you this. I've been feeling this for a really long time. Back to the board. To understand the truth would be to admit that everything you believe or everything that others have told you is a fact is a lie. How much data, how much proof will we need for people to realize that? So once again, coming up, Human Norchasm, MD, PhD, smart dude. This guy knows a lot about a lot. He's regularly on the circuit of shows, often on Fox. He's a friend of mine. I like him very much. And as I've told you, I disagree with some of the things he says. But his idea that instead of pushing out 500 million tests, why aren't we testing people to see if they've already had this? The answer, because if we did, life could get back to normal and the road would open up. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Back right after this.
I'm sorry I didn't get the name for the person who said their app's locked up twice. I wish things would screw up on mine so I could see it. Yeah, but it's working on all of my devices. I checked. So I don't know why it's locked. My answer is I don't know why it is locking up on you. Oh, Scott, you used AIM? Someone put on their, cutting calories. Good luck with that. I don't eat that much to begin with. I know you can't tell, which is probably part of the problem is I don't eat right. I'm trying to figure out why there would be I don't drink that much beer, Charlotte. Yeah, Nikki, I know I don't eat. I know I don't eat right.
Okay, let's see. Yeah.
But what I'm lucky is if I go to AIM, it'll force my wife to make me do something, and so I won't have to listen to her complain to me. It'll make it easier.
Calling you now, ringing.
It's not ringing in here. Tell him to call again. Hopefully he has the right number. I gotta remember to put up his. Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Wendy Bell Radio.
This is a great opportunity for me to tell you guys about Nemacolin Country Club. What's today? The 23rd. We only have another day until Christmas. So if you live in southwestern Pennsylvania and you've been stuck on what to buy somebody in your life who loves golfing, loves getting outside, or heck, maybe it's just you, maybe it's your spouse, whatever. This is a very unusual offer. I don't know any other country club that's done something this generous. They're offering a 50% off membership option at Nemacolin Country Club. This course is spectacular. I can't tell you enough how much Joe and I enjoy playing with Brock and our friend Andy at Nemacolin Country Club. Brock is a member. We would love for you to join and to be able to play golf with you. I mean, honestly, it's that easy. And so for a limited time, and I don't know how long they're going to offer this, but for a limited time.
I think it's till the end of the year.
So it's 50% off. Please go to nemacolin.org, nemacolin.org, or call 724-632-3300 extension 5, 724-632-3300 extension 5. A couple dozen of you, I think, have already called to inquire, which just makes me so happy because you will love, love, love this place. It is really, really special.
I agree. The course is beautiful.
It is.
The
really,
course. I'll
really
tell you
fun.
what. Play the course once, it sells itself.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's telling me to do AIM.
Yes, I mean, I just. Well, and here's the funny thing: people who go, you can't have somebody tell you should go.
Right.
Like it's
You
sort of
can't
like
have someone just go, "Hey, how about a salad and a sit-up?"
right. How about a sit up and a salad there, bro?
Yeah.
And then you're like, screw you.
Yeah,
and
don't
you
tell me what to do.
you really have to have that moment. Like for a friend of mine, he hurt his knee because of his weight, and he had to have surgery, and it really made him angry that he had let himself go.
Right.
He had put on 100 pounds. And so he's like, this is ridiculous. And he's lost 40 pounds and he's going to lose the other 60. And he's like a dog on a bone. He's like, once he's on, he's on.
You know, I'm more the guy that I need the roadmap.
That's what you get. And they tell you,
you know,
they also do stuff with your gut so they can detect if you're allergic to certain things or
that would be nice to know.
It's pretty
as long
impressive.
as I'm not allergic to beer and chocolate, I'd be fine.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
I'm super excited to, first of all, welcome you back to the Wendy Bell radio program, but to introduce a man who I think is very special on many levels. I find him doggedly determined, excruciatingly intelligent. And though I disagree with him on some things, I love hearing his logic because it's always based in fact. And so without further ado, it is my great joy to introduce to all of you, immunologist, public health advocate. There's so many things I could say about him. Dr. Human Norchasm. Hello, my friend. How are you?
How are you, Wendy? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. You got a gaggle of kids at home. Are you stressed or is it all under control?
We're all under control. You know, Santa's elves were a little bit lazy this year, but we got it going. So
I love it. I love it. Okay, so before we get into the meat and potatoes of, I think, why you've been pretty hot and bothered recently, specifically regarding the president's most recent press conference announcing 500 million new test kits going out, I want your perspective on the Omicron variant. Is this something that we need to be worried about, or how are you viewing this?
Well, look, I think Omicron is doing what was expected of this coronavirus, which is that, most of these kinds of viruses sort of evolve towards less virulency, right? And so it's clear the disease that it's causing is not as severe, but what we're, sort of gaining in terms of less severity, we're losing in terms of transmissibility. So in other words, the disease severity is shifted in the direction of less severe, but there's still some people who get severely ill from this thing. And so when you increase the absolute numbers of people getting infected, you're still going to get a bunch of people getting hospitalized, overwhelming the hospitals. You're still going to get folks, who get critically ill even from it, right? Even though the percentage is lower, the absolute numbers go up, right? Because it's more transmissible. So that's what the concern is with Omicron in general. Now, in terms of how different it is, in terms of its sequence and biology from a sort of an immune response perspective, I think, first of all, people who are naturally immune, who have, antibodies from a prior infection, are pretty robustly protected. I mean, if you've mounted a good response against the virus before, you're gonna and you have antibodies against the virus, you're gonna be pretty robustly immune, probably more so than if you're vaccinated, right? But of course, the vaccine itself also is, it's something that, is really scientifically based. And I know there's a lot of controversy about it. There's some side effects to it, but in reality, it activates an immune response against the spike protein, and that spike protein hasn't changed that much. So I think there's some truth to the fact that when you sort of get the antibody levels high enough, most people who have high enough antibody levels are going to be protected from Omicron.
Do we know how many people, guesstimate, ballpark, any idea how many Americans here? I know you've had it, I've had it. How many have already had COVID?
I think the CDC estimates are somewhere around 120 million at this point. And I think it's fair to say somewhere around 70% of that population, which is almost half of America. I would say let's be conservative and call them a third of America, right? About a third of America has had infections, and somewhere around 70 to 80% of that population is also positive for antibodies. So they're relatively robustly protected. Now, the fact that the Biden administration is ignoring that population, the fact that we're mandating people who've had natural COVID to get vaccinated against their will, I mean, those are fundamentally un-American things. They're frankly medically unethical and un-American both.
I agree 100%. And you and I were going back and forth. I love you text me things that you're going to be on this show or this show. We go back and forth often. But I do enjoy your ire with the president saying we're going to order and somehow get to people 500 million test kits. I failed to see how testing whether you have it really moves the needle. And you have a great argument for something we should be spending this money on instead.
Look, Wendy, the president of the United States basically just plugged in the Defense Production Act, right? Which is sort of our major taxpayer-funded initiative to fund any sort of national defense. Now, in this case, it's the pandemic. It could be a military, it could be used on military defense also. But basically, he plugged in a screening test into the Defense Production Act, which essentially is, look, it's very important for people to know whether they're positive or not, whether they have COVID or not. So that there's it's useful to get yourself screened to make sure you don't have COVID, especially if you're sick, if you feel sick.
Sure.
But here's the thing: he's plugged in this massive amount of taxpayer dollars into a screening test. But frankly, the moment you take it, imagine you go to the testing center, you take this test, right? And you go next door, get a cup of coffee at your local Krispy Kreme's or Dunkin' Donuts,
right? And
you pick the Omicron, so that test is null and void, right? That's number one. Number two is, even if he gets these tests available to Americans in the next month or so, look, the doubling time of Omicron is 3 to 4 days. It's too late. It's too little, too late. You know, and so really, what he should be doing, and this should be part of our national strategy, is what we should have been doing, and what we should still be doing, right? Is we should be screening people and providing people with the opportunity to check their antibody levels to make sure that they're immune, right? And I don't know, the federal government's actually sort of done the opposite.
Right.
The FDA on May 19th, 2021, came out with an advisory discouraging people from getting their antibodies tested. Really, the most critical piece of information anyone needs to have in terms of whether or not they're protected, whether they're naturally immune, whether they're vaccinated, whether they're boosted even, right, is if you have to determine whether or not you have enough antibodies in your blood. And this is such a simple test. In fact, the technology it uses is identical to these rapid tests. It's called the ELISA assay, and essentially it's identical to the same technology that they're using for the virus screening tests, right? Why we deviated from that is just really one of the biggest pieces of anti-science. And I would say to you, it's actually a scientific intelligence failure on par with what happened to us at Pearl Harbor, okay? It's really a catastrophic and dramatic failure on the part of the FDA. I've communicated with Janet Woodcock about this. She's our FDA commissioner. I've communicated with Pfizer. I've communicated with Senator Johnson about it. As you know, my good friend, Senator Johnson, is very actively involved in these issues. And, it's really unfathomable that the most sophisticated country in the world, technologically, is failed to actually do this one thing that's the most critical piece of information anyone could have. So I would really urge all your audience to push your doctors, go to the labcorp.com website, okay, and get these antibody tests done for COVID. If you have antibody levels, if you've been vaccinated, if your number is above 1,000 on the total antibody, you're pretty robustly immune. If you've been vaccinated or boosted, that's the number that you want. You want to be above 1,000 units per ml. If you're naturally infected, you want to be above about 100 to 200 units per ml because you've mounted a good response. So that's really my beef with the president's talk is that he sort of deviated completely away from science.
Well, I feel like there are other countries, some third world countries that are doing this more logically, more scientifically, more methodically than we are. And I know how I feel, what the reasoning is, of course. For those who are listening on the radio who don't see your picture on our screen that tells everybody who you are, Dr. Nordshausen, tell everybody quickly about your background, like your knowledge of this, so they understand what you're saying is the real deal.
Sure. I'm an MD PhD immunologist. I trained at the University of Pennsylvania. I've had health faculty appointments at Harvard and Penn and Thomas Jefferson University. And, I'm very, in the public health advocacy space right now as a result of something very personal that happened to my family in the healthcare system where I realized that, our healthcare establishment is so radically committed to corporate goals as opposed to the safety and security and health of individual Americans, it could be absolutely devastating. And I think our entire culture, our corporate culture and our government culture has deviated away from the care of the individual, and it's sort of going down this path of robotic algorithms, which is basically what this vaccine is in a one-size-fits-all way, right? I mean, look, if you're not immune, if you haven't had COVID, it's in your best interest to get the vaccine. But if you've had COVID, you shouldn't get it. Now, look at these booster mandates coming down the pike now for college students, Wendy. Upwards of 30% of our college students have had COVID before and have had 2 mandated shots in the past 10 months or so, okay? Now, here we are, most of these big colleges are mandating these kids to get a 3rd shot in a setting where these kids are bulletproof. Even Anthony Fauci wouldn't be able to look at that with a straight face and say these kids need a 3rd shot. They just don't. And now here they are. They're all getting mandated to get a booster. Why is that?
Yeah, when you talk to Janet Woodcock, when you call any of these people, you get them on the horn. Do they respond to you? What do you get?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Dr. Woodcock acknowledges receipt of my emails personally, and, I've had several conversations with her in the past, but nothing ever comes of it because, look, the taxpayers and the voters are the ones who have to hold these folks accountable. She's I guess I'm getting more than most people. I'm getting a response from her at least, saying, hey, I got you, I understand it. I think they understand it. Their hands are tied because the politicians are the ones who are not pushing this hard enough, I mean, I have to tell you, I've been in communication with Senator Johnson about this. He's a good friend of mine, as you know. Even his hands are tied. Even he feels like he can't really voice his opinion about this thing because there's so much force against him, both on the part of the, standard issue Republicans as well as clearly all the Democrats, nobody wants to hear anything about anything anymore.
Is it all money?
Everybody's
Is it all
vaccinated? Everybody's got to shut up.
Human, does it all boil down to money? Money?
Look, I think it boils down to Fauci, right? Here's the thing, right? There's 3 pillars to an effective national response, okay? There's going to be vaccines, there's going to be natural immunity, and there's going to be early treatment, Wendy, right? What Dr. Fauci has effectively done from the beginning is he's essentially eliminated, they don't want to hear about natural immunity,
right?
First of all, okay? Number 2,
or early treatment.
That's damaging to the fabric of our, what's that?
Or early treatment.
Or early treatment, exactly. So we're way behind on early treatment. And really the only drugs that are getting airtime are the money drugs, the drugs that, cost a lot of money. We have some very effective generic drugs that have been entirely ignored. They haven't even been studied. It's a gaping hole in our national strategy. We can't test generic drugs because they don't have enough money behind them. Like, what the hell is that?
100%. Do you have another 5 minutes to hang with me through a quick break?
Sure.
You're the best. Look at him. He's checking his watch. He's like, for you, okay. You're the best. Dr. Human Nordshausen is going to come back in just a second. But before he does, I need to do this, tell you about an important message from Tom Yakinpin of West Penn Life and Health. He says he's got something that he wants to talk to you about. And if you've got a bank CD that's about to renew at abysmal basement level interest rates, stop and don't do that. Instead, pick up the phone and call Tom. Ask him about the Safe Money annuity. It's super easy. 5 years. You're going to put aside at least $5,000 for 5 years, and you're not going to touch it, but you are going to watch it grow steadily and safely, earning 3.5% the first year guaranteed. He's a great guy to talk to. He's got wonderful solutions to financial questions. 724-228-7187, westpennlife.com. More with Dr. Human Nordshausen right after this. I love him. Got it. Oh, the people.
Yeah, if you want to let people know, I put up a pop-up so they can see it, and if they like it, let us know.
Jason has put up a pop-up on the app, Wendy Bell Radio Network. It's a shirt design that Brock had found that Jason is finessing and that we are putting out, and we're kind of gauging interest to see if it's something you guys like or not. So give us a hoot, a holler, or whatever, you know what I mean. Let us know. Is something wrong with your phone, Brock?
No.
Okay.
It says coming up, so I don't know.
Dr. Norchasm and I disagree on the vaccine. However, I'm going to ask him a question, and I don't know if he'll like it. But
Had a conversation with the gentleman yesterday we were talking about, and I had said about how, unfortunately, we had the guy from January 6th, so unfortunately. But unfortunately, you ask questions that you have to ask that you're probably not going to get an answer to. Sort of the same thing. If you don't ask the question.
Well, and with him, I really don't know what his parameters are because
Right.
I'm not in touch with his legal case, but I sure as heck don't want to put him in a pinch. He's a very smart man. I do enjoy talking to him. He gets really, really fiery.
Well, you know what? It's nice that you disagree, but you can still have a conversation. That's what we're always looking for. Just have a conversation.
My mind is swirling. Which is dangerous. Focus.
You want to throw Jason down the stairs to make you feel better?
That would not make me feel better.
No.
Unless his shoes fell off and I could wear them. Are you wearing your fuzzy slippers? Jag. He apparently has My Pillow slippers that are like walking on air. And they're really good looking. That makes me angry.
Like Brock.
All right, we got a few minutes left in this final segment, but I do want to bring back Dr. Hooman Norchasm. He's an immunologist and a public health advocate. Hooman, I wanted to ask your perspective on this report I'm seeing out of the UK that suggests that the ultra-vaxxed and the boosted there are seeing quadruple the COVID cases they were seeing before anybody was vaccinated. Are you seeing data that suggests that perhaps vaccinated individuals are more susceptible to this variant? And if so, possibly why?
Yeah, so a couple of things. First of all, the Omicron does seem to be sort of able to bypass, go around the vaccine. That's the problem. That's why we need these boosters to get the antibody levels higher. So there's no question, that the Omicron can sneak behind the vaccine, if you will, and that's why what we're losing in terms of specificity of the vaccine, we can actually regain based on how much antibody we have in the blood, and that's why the boosters actually are, frankly, effective. Now, the idea is this: is you have to have enough antibodies in your blood. So, if there are people who are vaccinated and boosted getting this, those people are probably the ones whose antibody levels don't get boosted high enough, right? And this is something, again, at the crux of this whole thing is the idea of whether you have sufficient immunity. Now, the other aspect of this, Wendy, is let's say you have a town that has 100 people in it, and you vaccinate them with a vaccine that's 50% effective. You vaccinate all 100 people with a vaccine that's like 50% effective. Okay, what you'll get is 100% of people who get hospitalized are going to be the vaccinated, right? That doesn't necessarily mean the vaccine doesn't work. It just means that in half the people it didn't work, right? So I think what we have to sort of deviate away from, and that's one part of our national strategic error that the Biden administration has made, is that they're conflating vaccination with immunity. And the reason why it's a critical mistake that the federal government has made in terms of veering away from the definition of immunity, is that they're forcing everyone, irrespective of whether or not they're immune, to get vaccinated. Right? What we should be doing, what we should have been doing for the past year, is we should have been defining terms of immunity, which is very easy to do. It's a very simple thing to do. You know, we could have these, home tests with a little droplet of blood. You can go to LabCorp, get your blood drawn, and you can determine how much antibody you have. And that's really what will bring peace of mind when it comes to holiday time, gathering. If you're immune, if you have high immunity, you're going to be as protected as is possible, instead of having these screening tests that 2 seconds after you take them, null and void.
No, I think you bring up an excellent point there. Let me ask you this. So you have 6 kids, I have 5. Between us, we have a gaggle. I'm worried about side effects from this vaccine. Are you worried about the side effects? Because I read about them often, and it's not deniable. It's going on. Things are happening that have never happened with a vaccine before. And when we try to talk about them, we are silenced, censored. Social media shuts us down. There's too many things to be concerned about. Are you concerned about those side effects?
Sure, absolutely. Listen, that's one of the reasons why I think Senator Johnson, Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, I think his dissent, on the issue of mass vaccination is such an important and critical part of our democracy. I know he's been caricaturized, he's been lambasted in the media. It's unbelievable what they've done to him over the past year. And what he's doing fundamentally is he's giving voice to a subset of people who actually have had side effects. Now here's the thing, Wendy. From my perspective, this vaccine is a new vaccine. It clearly has the spike protein in it, which is part of the virus, and that spike protein could cause problems for people, right? Now, here's the issue that I want everyone to really consider carefully, which is that if you get a natural infection, right, the same stuff that's in the vaccine is present in droves. There's literally thousands, if not hundreds of thousands times more spike in a natural infection than in the vaccine. So there's no question that the side effects and the long COVID symptoms that Americans would get from an infection are going to be much more risky than the one in many thousands of the risk of the vaccine, rather, right? So really, it's a risk-benefit analysis. And the way I manage this is I say to myself, we have to adhere to the principles of medical necessity. That basically means that we shouldn't be doing things to people who don't need it.
Boom.
Right? So
That's
let's say you have very low-risk people. What's that?
You're right. That's it.
Yeah. Basically you have millions of people who've had infection and are already immune. These people should not be getting forced vaccinated, because when they actually experience a complication, that's harm, right? Or let's say you're a very young and healthy kid, right? It's like, why should we force these kids to get vaccinated again, right? There's some schools that are putting these mandates in place for very young kids. Or let's say you're a college kid who has had COVID and 2 mandated shots. Why should we give you a booster, right?
I love it.
We're exposing people to risk that's unnecessary.
I
right?
agree.
So yes, risk is part of everyday life. Risk is part of every medical
Risk
treatment.
and reward.
Risk is part of our lives, right?
Yeah.
You got to avoid avoidable risks.
I agree.
That's it.
You know what? I think that you are very good in how you illustrate this conundrum we're in. And I so appreciate hearing from you. I love your texts and communicating whenever I can. Dr. Hubin Norchez, Merry Christmas to you and your crew. And you come on back.
Christmas to you, Wendy.
You come on back soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Wendy. It's nice hearing you. And Merry Christmas to everyone listening.
Take care. Bye-bye. All right, more on the Wendy Bell Radio program coming up next. I like them.
Are you looking to lose weight the weight you always?
I like him. He makes sense to me. Don't agree with everything he says, but I like him. I would like to thank Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. They have a new Owens Corning roofing product called Bourbon that is this beautiful color. It is so pretty. It's like caramels and chocolate browns and these pretty blues like the ocean and the sky. It is so cool. I've never looked at somebody's roof and been like, that is a really nice roof. You'll like this one. It is outstanding. And Gary and Diane Ireland at Ireland Contracting, they are an Owens Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Dealer, which is huge. Only the top 1% of roofers in the country get to be called that by Owens Corning. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Guild Quality, and us here at the Wendy Bell Radio program. I should say we, because that's grammatically correct. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Anything on the exterior of your house, they know how to fix, replace, renovate, you name it. So what'd you think of Human?
Who, me?
Yes. Human? Who, me?
You know, I think it goes back to what we've said from the start. It's like he thinks they're safe and effective. That's fine. He wants to get it. That's fine. But I like that he's starting to, that he thinks of, hey, why aren't we doing this instead of this?
Why is it one way only?
It's called critical thinking.
Yes.
You know, like,
that's what I like about him.
yeah. Like you said, we disagree.
Right.
We disagree.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think he is, he obviously has much more of a knowledge than I have. And I think the argument that I have a difficult time making sense of, and this is the argument that you'll hear, is out of the billions and billions of shots given,
right,
only X number of millions of people have gone sideways, or only X number of thousands have died. And so when you look at the math of that, when your denominator gets so big, it muddies the water. But if it's that one person who's diagnosed with myocarditis and it's your son, that's all that matters. That's 100%. So playing the math on it, to me, and that they knew that this thing had issues, to me is, I'm sorry, I can't get behind the science of Dr. Fauci saying that you must get this.
Well, I think too, like, you know, they say, well, doctors say, you know, and not that I know doctors will say, there's a lot of the doctors I talk to, some will say, yeah, I've had doctors say, you should get the shot. And then I've had others, and these are the ones I tend to listen to, like, this part doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Why can't I get this information?
That 100%, it always makes me nervous.
Right. Like,
this is the only thing to do. You must do this. Well,
I had a doctor friend of mine, and he said, the thing that scares me, I can't get information on it. He's like, that scares me.
Did he say on it?
I'm done.
Look, it's the weekend is right around the corner. I've got to take the shots now while they're available.
What? What Christmas is going to stop you from shooting me a nasty text?
We'll be shooting each other the day after Christmas, so I will have some barbs for you then. But no.
I can't wait. I can't wait to shoot you. I'm going to get you at the top of the stairs and push, too. Look, it's HR.
Oh, you're such a jag-off.
Yeah, I think that's the problem that a lot of people who are hesitant about, not just this vaccine, any shot or vaccine or new technology. If I can't get my hands on the information, what?
Well done.
Oh, shut up. Wow. If I can't get my hands on the information to find out about
it, I agree with you.
It leads me to go, why aren't you showing? By not telling me, you're leaving room in that space for me to question.
That's the flag man with the guy with the arrow merged to one lane with cones, with the cherry picker, with, they're doing everything they can to block you.
Say, why? Because I said so. Mm-hmm. You're not giving me any information to where I can say, okay,
right,
this makes sense. Right. You're giving me the edict.
Yeah.
There's no question. There's no conversation about it. There's no discussion. Nothing. This is what you'll take it. You'll like it.
Mm-hmm. Eat your lima beans.
Grab your ankles and take it.
Wow. That was a visual I didn't need. Violent. Gross.
Wow.
Things that they're teaching our kids in school and the books in the library.
Right. That's pretty mild, what I just said.
Right.
Matt, I'm gonna take a shot at her. She's gonna turn around. I'm gonna shoot her in the back.
Is he typing to you, or no? Are you just talking to him?
He typed something.
I want whatever the biggest weapon is, so it will compensate for my big. Oh my god. You're liking this way too much. I have to say that the Christmas music is kind of nice. I like that. Is that the free version, or am I getting billed for that? I'm getting billed. I can tell.
It's not always about money.
Okay. I want to thank Dr. Norchasm. You know, I do appreciate his perspective, and I do trust somebody, even if I don't necessarily see eye to eye with his philosophy on the vaccine. What he's arguing, obviously, is when you look at the global population of doses administered, which is in the billions, right? And that's your denominator, and your numerator is the number of people who've had bad things happen to them reportedly. Then when you divide those things, the number is very small in relation to the ocean of individuals. However, that doesn't make you feel any better when it's your loved one, when it's your parent, when it's your spouse or your daughter. And so there's this disconnect. Using almost like a mathematical equation. Yeah, we've had a bunch of people have this go wrong with them or pass away. But really, when you look at how many people have gotten the jabs, it's remarkably safe. That doesn't really hold water with me. I also like his not one size fits all mentality. We are the melting pot that we've always been touted as. From all walks of life, all shapes and sizes and colors and backgrounds, abilities and whatnot. So why is it okay for there to be only one course of action? It's not okay. The only reason that's the case is because there is a singular end game. And the singular end game, sadly, in my not so humble opinion, has absolutely nothing to do with your wellness or your health. And it has everything to do with exactly what you know it has to do with: money. This disturbed me, though. It's an article written on November 11th of 2020. And I'm going to read it to you. I was going to extrapolate some of the things, put it up on the board, but I think I need to get through this with you. The hard part of this article is that it's written in scientific ease, if you will. So people who are poor at, whittling things down for the dummies in the room, who don't have the science degrees, there are some elements of that are difficult to get through. But the bottom line is, some people had been suggesting, wait. Before you roll out a national vaccine campaign, and then before you run with it even more and make things mandatory, we ought to identify some things that we've discovered with SARS, with MERS, with dengue fever, with things that are similar to this vaccine, or this virus, I should say, that raise some alarms about what this mRNA does inside our bodies. And that is what this article is about. And this is what it says. And I apologize. I forgot in the commercial break to put this up, to give it to Jason to put it on the app under the resources tab. It's called, or the WordPress blog I found this on is called Diet Exercise, one word. Again, came out on 11/11/20. And this is the title: How COVID-19 Vaccine Can Destroy Your Immune System. I'm not telling you that it does. But as I told you earlier in the program, we're seeing some information now that has me really scratching my head and being very concerned. And here's how it goes. According to a study that examined how informed consent is given to COVID-19 vaccine trial participants, This is before the vaccine came out. This is a month before it was released, ladies and gentlemen. Disclosure forms failed to inform volunteers that the vaccine might make them susceptible to more severe disease if they're exposed to the virus. The study informed consent disclosure to vaccine trial subjects of risk of COVID-19 vaccine worsening clinical disease, that's the name of the study, published in the International Journal of Clinical Practice in October of last year, points out that, quote, COVID-19 vaccines designed to elicit neutralizing antibodies may actually sensitize vaccine recipients to more severe disease than if they were not vaccinated. That's where I'm jumping off from. So let's look into this. And it goes on to quote this study. Vaccines for SARS, MERS, and RSV, a respiratory virus, have never been approved. And the data generated in the development and testing of these vaccines suggest a serious mechanistic concern that vaccines designed empirically using the traditional approach, consisting of the unmodified or minimally modified coronavirus viral spike to elicit neutralizing antibodies, be they composed of protein, viral vector, DNA, or RNA, and irrespective of delivery method, may worsen COVID-19 disease via antibody-dependent enhancement, the paper states. That's ADE. So you're thinking to yourself, wait, what's happening there? The risk is sufficiently obscured in clinical trial protocols and consent forms for ongoing COVID-19 vaccine trials that adequate patient comprehension of this risk is unlikely to occur, obviating truly informed consent by subjects in these trials. That means there's the potential for something to go weird here. And these clinical trials, which people signed up to be a part of late last year, these people were not informed that this could happen inside of them. So how can you consent to testing something if you're not told of the possible and known effects to your body? This individual paper submits that they were not told. And if that is the case, that is a serious problem. The specific and significant COVID antibody-dependent enhancement or risk of antibody-dependent enhancement should have been and should be prominently and independently disclosed to research subjects currently in vaccine trials, as well as those being recruited for the trials and future patients after vaccine approval, in order to meet the medical ethics standard of patient comprehension for informed consent. Okay, so that's part one of the conundrum. They're not being told. We want you to try this. Could be the life-saving elixir. Could get us through this global pandemic. Open up the economy. Save everybody's businesses. Won't you be our guinea pig? Sure. Problem is, we're not going to tell you everything that we think we know about it. That's an issue. It goes on to explain what antibody-dependent enhancement is. As noted by the authors of the International Journal of Clinical Practice, previous coronavirus vaccine efforts for SARS, MERS, and RSV have revealed a serious concern that vaccines have a tendency to trigger antibody-dependent enhancement. What exactly does that mean? Well, in a nutshell, it means that rather than enhance your immunity against the infection, the vaccine actually enhances the virus's ability to enter and infect your cells, resulting in more severe disease than had you not been vaccinated. This is the exact opposite of what a vaccine is supposed to do, and a significant problem that has been pointed out from the very beginning of this push for a COVID-19 vaccine. This is last October, ladies and gentlemen, last November, and still they push these anyway. It goes on. Previous coronavirus vaccine efforts have all failed. In May of 2020, an interview with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., He summarized the history of coronavirus vaccine development, which began in 2022 or 2002 rather, following 3 consecutive SARS outbreaks. By 2012, Chinese, American, and European scientists were working on SARS vaccine development and had about 30 promising candidates. So yes, this has been going on for about 19 years. But only now has something been fast-tracked under emergency use. Of those 30 promising candidates, the 4 best vaccine candidates were then given to ferrets, which are the closest analog to human lung infections. While the ferrets displayed robust antibody response, which is the metric used for vaccine licensing, once they were challenged with the wild virus, they all became severely ill and died. The same thing happened when they tried to develop an RSV vaccine in the 1960s. It's an upper respiratory illness that is a very similar pattern to that caused by coronaviruses. At that time, they decided to skip animal trials and go directly to human trials. Well, why would you do that? The ferrets all died. Imagine what would happen then. Quote, they tested it on about 35 children, and the same thing happened, Robert Kennedy said. The children developed a champion antibody response, robust and durable. It looked perfect, but when the children were exposed to the wild virus, they all became sick. 2 of them died. They abandoned the vaccine. It was a big embarrassment to FDA and NIH. Do you guys kind of understand where I'm going with this? There's just too much that makes me uncomfortable. There's too much that this particular virus, which escaped, if we're not even going to say from a lab, it somehow was transmitted from a bat in a wet market in China, they want us to believe. If that was the case, how is it possible that that very virus, the elements of it, the spike protein, all of the things that go on, how is it possible that this novel, new coronavirus, before it was even detected in China, had been patented, its elements more than 70 times? If that doesn't add up, it shouldn't add up. If it doesn't add up that they've been trying since 2002 to put together a vaccine for SARS or MERS, what have you, and every single one prior to this has failed and killed the lab animals, why would you skip the animals with this? Do a very small sample size of the tens of thousands of people, not hundreds of thousands of people, and then push it through fast track for emergency use authorization that then absolves the government and big pharma from any accountability if shizzle hits the fan. Now, what if what we're seeing in the UK, 4 out of 5, what if that is exactly what happened to the ferrets? At first, they built up a robust immunity, and then what happened? It obviously waned. And then the natural wild virus infected them, and they died. You see where I'm going, yes? This is probably why I don't sleep well at night, why I like beer. The Disc Institute of Pittsburgh and Dr. Richard Rafferty, a welcome break from a pretty serious subject right now, do something pretty remarkable, and they've done it for more than 10,000 individuals who've been told either you need to get epidurals, injections into your back every so often to numb your pain, or you need spinal surgery. And he does something different. He helps people's bulging or degenerative discs heal. And it's a 98% successful therapy. It's revolutionary. And it's called intradisc neutrosis. 412-906-9600. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. There is a reason people fly in from all over the country for this therapy with Doc Rafferty. You'll love him. He is outstanding. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com. All right, when we come back, I'll tie this one up in a bow. I know it's some heavy stuff, But this was written more than a year ago. It was written a month before the vaccines were widely distributed. And now these same vaccines are mandated. And you don't just get one, you don't just get two, you have to get three. Doesn't add up unless it adds up exactly. You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program.
Battle out.
Thank you.
That's correct. Correct.
Yes, sir. I know you guys were talking, so you didn't hear what this was saying. I didn't know if it was making sense.
We talked about it this morning.
It makes me very concerned.
Yeah. That's why you drink beer and don't sleep at night.
Oh, wow. You listened to the last three words. Thank you.
You heard beer.
He heard beer. He's not going to hear beer once he goes to Body by AIM 360.
Ooh.
You can do it.
Maybe we could do beer body by AIM.
Right? I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll show you
You're already doing your curls and stuff.
The problem is I have such a nice drinking vessel now that I want, right? I mean, you could put anything in it, but it's dying.
It was never the vessel for her.
It's always been the vessel.
Because don't say now though, because you've had plenty of nice drinking vessels that I know of. Mm-hmm. You can say what you want.
By the way, it's a resounding yes on that design.
Oh, nice. All right.
Want me to?
Let's do it then.
Okay. Very good.
Brock is very thoughtful and buys her vessels for her beer.
Oh, for the love of all, that's holy.
No respect. None. And if he says no beer or no cigars,
it's hard to read medical stuff and make it make sense or make it interesting. Am I failing?
here we go.
I doubt most shows are talking about this. Well, the holidays are gearing up at the Battlegrounds and at Show Me Your Hobbies. Their hobby shop is loaded with the latest RC cars and trucks and boats and crawlers. Grab one for yourself. Maybe go with a gift card for that RC or airsoft enthusiast in your life. And if you want even more excitement, the Battlegrounds is ready to host your private birthday party, maybe a corporate holiday party, or any other celebration. From Nerf and airsoft to bow tag and rivals, the activities are endless at the Battlegrounds. Don't forget, extended holiday hours for more open play sessions, but you got to register on their website, thebattlegroundspa.com, or give Matt a call, 412-530-2192. They're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You know, don't just play the game. Be the game at the Battlegrounds. So there's just another section I want to read you in this article entitled How COVID-19 Vaccine Can Destroy Your Immune System. I'm not saying it does. I'm saying that people were raising an alarm well before this vaccine was widely distributed and certainly before it was made mandatory. So the article continues, without neutralizing antibodies, you can expect more severe illness. Is that where we are right now? Is that what this variant is going to be? Well, this is what it says. In an April 2020 Twitter thread, a publication called The Immunologist noted, quote, while developing vaccines and considering immunity passports, we must first understand the complex role of antibodies in SARS, MERS, and COVID-19. The author goes on to list several coronavirus vaccine studies that have raised concerns about ADE. And that is, of course, as I just forget, that is antibody-dependent enhancement. The first is a 2017 study involving rabbits. To determine how MERS affects the immune system, the researchers infected white rabbits with the virus. The rabbits got sick, They developed antibodies, but those antibodies were not the neutralizing kind, meaning the kind of antibodies that block infection. As a result, they were not protected from reinfection, and when exposed to MERS for a second time, they became ill again and more severely so. In other words, if the vaccine does not result in a robust response in neutralizing antibodies, you might be at risk for more severe lung disease if you're infected with the virus. You know, this is the part, and it ends with a risk-benefit analysis, which is what exactly our friend Dr. Norchazin was saying. In all likelihood, regardless of how effective or ineffective the COVID-19 vaccines end up being, they're going to be released to the public in relatively short order. They were a month after this was written. Most predict one or more vaccines will be ready sometime in 2021. Ironically, the data we now have no longer support a mass vaccination mandate, considering the lethality of COVID-19 is lower than the flu for those under the age of 60. If you're under the age of 40, your risk of dying from COVID-19 is just 0.01%. Meaning you have a 99.99% chance of surviving. So what really are we protecting against with a COVID-19 vaccine? As mentioned, the vaccines aren't even designed to prevent infection, only reduce the severity of symptoms. Meanwhile, they could potentially make you sicker once you're exposed to the virus. And that seems like a lot of risk for a truly questionable benefit. What I don't want is I don't want to turn the page and have it be 2025 or even 2023 and have the FDA or someone else come out and say, well, oops, we didn't realize, we skipped the animal trials, we didn't do a big enough sample size, we didn't look at this long enough. We were in a rush either to ostensibly protect people or just get filthy rich. That gnaws at me. If my parents are going to die, I don't want them to die because they made a decision they were told they had to make. I want them to die because they are old, because their bodies say, you've lived a long and wonderful life. Not because they were locked in their homes, afraid of everybody. If I want anyone, I don't want anyone in my life to die, but if somebody should, I don't want it to be because of this. I don't want it to be because people failed to tell us the truth, or because researchers cut corners, or because Big Pharma had its eyes on our pocketbooks, or because millions of Americans were easily persuaded because they chose to live in fear. I just don't. And so I feel like every single day I stand here and I pour it out to you. The way I feel about my family, you feel about yours. I certainly don't want anybody who's gotten this to be afraid of the vaccine. You make the decisions that are best for you. But when your government specifically blocks traffic and prevents you from seeing what's up ahead, and then doesn't give you the real story when they finally let you snake over into the shoulder to pass, and you never really get the true reasoning behind the snarl, how are you left feeling? You know how you're left feeling. All right, so I'm going to open up the phone lines coming up in a minute. We'll talk about that. Would you take the new COVID pill? Oh my. We'll talk about that next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Stick around. What? Why would you take the pill? Did you by any chance get a chance to see that, find that link? Or do you need me to show you what it is? You know, let me see if I have it on my, iPad.
I'm starting to think that I should probably call Darren and be like, hey, listen, how long's beer out of the question? And then hurry up and drink all the beer I have in my fridge.
said it was a WordPress blog.
Yeah. And let's see how COVID-19 vaccine. Please come up. This is the title of
Okay,
it.
I'll
So
search it.
yeah,
Do
I
you
beg
need
your
this?
pardon. I do not.
Okay.
I do
I'll
not.
do my best to find
No, I appreciate that. I'll keep looking too.
it. Okay.
Way to put more on his plate.
What should we talk about? Should we open up the lines here? Ow, my back hurts.
Yeah, Deb, I know no alcohol will help you lose weight. That's
What'd you say?
Deb in Florida says, Brock, no alcohol helps you lose weight.
Yeah, it also helps you have no fun.
Right,
What?
right?
I'm sorry.
Like,
What?
I mean,
I love the flavor of it. If there was a way, to have,
yeah, near beer just isn't. And I
There's
like
a
all the craft
flavor.
stuff that
Yeah.
tastes different. Like
Yeah.
I'm starting to get into the sours
yeah, they're good.
and different things like that, just to try it. Like I don't drink. I know we talk about. I don't drink a lot of beer.
No, you don't.
I really don't.
No.
But I do enjoy it on Saturdays and some evenings and Sundays and there.
Which
any
is why
day
his
that ends in-
Facebook page on Saturday has a Jenga of empties.
Yes. But it's really, that's one day, and I'm drinking literally. Please don't think I drink all that by myself. I share the beers. I do with Jim what I do with you. You know, like we may have 6 cans in front of us,
Yeah, but we're each drinking a half
Half
of
a can,
yeah,
right.
half of a can.
and I have him heavy pour because we're at his house and I have to drive home.
Right.
So I may have 4 beers over 4 hours.
Lush.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. You know what moderation is? I tell my kids all the time, moderation. That's what the key is.
Today's blind.
Is it?
Because I'm here.
Oh, here we go again. I have cut all the teas and stuff out. The only thing I drink is coffee in the morning, and
Yeah.
it's the water the rest of the day.
There's an element of, do I really need the caffeine? And it's no, I don't. But I really, I enjoy it. I enjoy that.
I should make my own beer, Denise, if I had time.
Yeah, you were busy yesterday.
I dozed off when I got home for like 45 minutes, and I had missed phone calls, text messages, and I'm just like,
Your doze was my cleaning up after the kids who were all home from school.
well, whose fault is that?
Really? Why you
Stop
gotta-
cleaning up after them.
Oh God, it gives me anxiety to see it.
I don't ever
Really?
want to hear. I don't
Do you
ever
really?
want to
Do you
hear
really wanna
another
go
word
there?
from you.
You really want to go there?
No, I don't.
I know you don't. All right, I'm tapping out on. Well, I want to put the phone number up sooner rather than later because
Okay.
I did want to do it this segment and I botched it. So,
So you want me to put the number up?
please, sir.
Really, we could talk about anything because it is Thursday.
You know what? That's a good point.
I mean, I think there's multiple questions out there that, you know, for in this business, you call them call segments. Like you throw the chum in the water.
I don't necessarily do that all that often.
Right. But you chum it out. You say, will you take the pill? They're yes or no questions, but they can grow into more yes or no questions. Would you take the pill? my one, and I said this the other day, is what are the Democrats going to run on in 2022, 2024?
I think it's a really good point, and there's just an interesting article here on Breitbart. Let's see. I love that you guys call. White House exodus. Biden staffers eyeing the exits. I think it would be a burnout of a job. My goodness gracious. Gloomy, unappreciated. It's terrible.
I found the blog, but I have to go through 209 pages to get the right link.
Shut up.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
It
fudgesicles.
goes to June of 2020, so I have to go back 5 months somehow.
You know what? I am going to find it because somebody shared it with me. Let me see where it was. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I won't be
Let
able
me
to finish
see.
it, but
No. You'll kill yourself.
I can only go 2 pages.
Let me
at a time.
see.
All right,
here.
hold on.
Where do I get to send?
I'm gonna radio your name.
Search in mail. Let's see. That was early this morning. Okay.
If you want to just forward it.
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
Okay.
For
Awesome.
sure.
I'll get it right up as soon as I get it.
Fudgesicles. Oh my gosh, you guys are fast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Using facts to take on the woke politicians, triggered leftists, and the corporate media.
You just got to try harder not to suck.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, you're listening to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Chugging along. Holy moly, this day is flying into hour 3. And we decided to open up the phone lines, 833-WBR show. All lines are locked right now. Folks waiting to chat. We kind of do a ask us anything or what do you want to talk about? We try to do this on Thursday. Sometimes I forget. If you call, you get the busy signal or whatever. Don't leave a message. There's no need because I'm not going to listen to it. Let's get out to Alice in Ohio. Hello, Alice. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi.
I just have a short question. Is there anything as we the people can do to stop this insanity?
Oh my goodness, you have to be a little bit more specific and then turn down either your radio or your iPhone or iPad because I think we're getting some feedback there. What do you mean? There's so much insanity. Go ahead.
Yeah, all about this COVID stuff. I mean, I'm 76 years old, and I'm not scared. I don't, if God please will for me to get it, he will. But why are people going and getting tested if they have no symptoms?
I think that we've now become accustomed to living in a society where you have to prove that you're negative if you haven't been vaccinated. So if you want to get on an airplane or if you want to travel or if you live in New York, you got to prove it wherever you go. But I think your point is well said. And if you choose to live that way, I guess that's on you. But I agree with you. I agree with your point, Alice, and I appreciate it. I also wish you a Merry Christmas. Let's get out to Tony in Pittsburgh. Hi, Tony.
Hey, Wendy, Merry Christmas to you and your Brock and Jason and your families.
Thank you.
I kind of have a bombshell story for you. I'll try to make it as short as possible.
Wow.
But my friend lost his uncle last week and found out after the fact that he had the vaccine, both vaccines, about 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he began having problems almost immediately. It turned into heart-related problems, and then it turned into pneumonia. Then he was tested, and then he had COVID, and then he was gone. But here's the bombshell. This is something I didn't know. Maybe you knew, or maybe you could find out. But they wanted to test him. They wanted to have an autopsy done, and they would not do the autopsy because he had COVID. and the family is just absolutely floored. And I failed to mention that he was in perfect health before this all started.
What? How can they deny you that service?
Yes, and this is coming straight from my friend's mouth. The doctors or the hospital or whoever told them they will not do an autopsy because he had COVID.
That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Unless,
Right.
and I don't like to think this way, unless they're trying to cover something up.
Well, that could be. That very well could be.
I will tell you, I've never heard of such a thing. Wow.
Well, as I learn more, I'll keep you posted. But you guys have a great holiday, and you brighten my holidays and my day all the time. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony. Checks in the mail. Appreciate hearing from you. Let's get out
he gets a Christmas bonus for that one.
Let's get out to Mike in Chicago. Hello, Mike. Welcome.
Hey, good morning, Wendy. Merry Christmas. We've talked a few times before.
Sure.
I don't get a lot of news except from you and information. When I found out late the other night, the latest Mayor Lightfoot sanctions here in Chicago, it literally put me into a depression swing. It's to the point now where, and kind of what the lady said at your first caller on what can we do, and really I think the answer, and I'm curious what you think, is just not comply. And I think you have to make a decision, now in Chicago, right? If you want to go out and sit down and have a pizza, you've got to show your Vax card. If you want to go to the gym, which I go all the time now, you got to show your Vax. You got to make some decisions on, what you want to do. And I think a lot of the, people, and I don't tell people my vaccination status, it's nobody's business, but the point is you got to make some decisions on your integrity of, how far you're willing to go, like how far you're willing to comply. And here in Chicago and like most liberal cities, and I never knew how liberal Chicago was. I lived there 23 years from Pittsburgh originally, but how far people will go to comply. They are just, okay, if that's the next step, I'll do it for the greater good, but I don't roll like that. So
well, and I feel to see how the greater good is actually greater or good.
Well, but there's a lot of people don't feel that way.
Of course,
greater good. They put all their belief in the liberal regime of, they know what they're doing. This is going to, pan out. And it's 2 years, right? This is 2 years of people's lives that you don't get to tack back on at the end, right? And this is 2 years of your life, and it will go well into next year.
Amen.
But I'm curious, your callers, right? You get people calling. I listen to your show every day. It's my only source of information, right? And sometimes it makes me sad because of the reality of it is. But, you talk to people. I think I told you before, I'm moving to Hilton Head, and I was going to move in May, and now I'm going to move in March because I can't make it till May. But you talk to people around the country who aren't from, the land before time in Chicago and New York and L.A., right? They can't fathom this. The lady I talked to in Hilton, an Omicron's been out now for 28 days. It came out the day after Thanksgiving. She didn't even know about it.
Isn't that nice? Right?
If there's any way I could make March, February, I would do it, but I just can't do it. And it's sad because you feel the anxiety and pressure of going places, of wondering what it's going to be like out there. And that doesn't happen in Savannah, Georgia, or Jacksonville, or, Birmingham. You just go about your life. But in Chicago, I like the caller before, I had a friend die of a heart attack in Columbus, Ohio. I've known him my whole life.
Oh.
And I don't know if it's COVID related. I didn't feel it was pertinent to ask those questions yet. I'm sure it'll come out. It just happened last week. I went to 2 florists in my neighborhood, and I live right in the Wrigleyville area. And I like to do business with small business. And neither organization, neither florist, would send flowers for me because I wasn't wearing a mask.
Oh, for the love of all that's holy. They can suck
real.
it. Here, so while you're on the phone, Mike, listen to this. So here's the title. Another blue state, and I've got Chris on line 1. We'll get your call here, Chris. Hang tight. You can keep him up. So another blue state is hemorrhaging residents. So as you're ready to pack up and leave for South Carolina, the state of Illinois, Mike, experienced a mass exodus from 2020 to 2021, according to data from the U.S. Census Bureau. How about this? Your total population, you guys have lost 122,460 people in that year. 122,460. And there's only been 5,000 people who've moved in. Does that surprise you at all? Doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't. And I live in a really nice neighborhood, and I know 6 different people who've left in the last 6 months. One of them moved back. He's a doctor up in Harmerville. He moved back to Pittsburgh. There's no reason to live here anymore. There's no appeal. There's nothing you can put on the plus side of the Ben Franklin chart to say, well, at least.
Well,
and now, with all the, you got to show your card and prove you're healthy.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. Why would you stay?
100%. 100%. They're trying to redistrict stuff right now. You don't have to redistrict. I think that blue states should be governed by blue people and red states should be governed by red people. And I've told you, and I've said it on the air, Mike, I've said it multiple times. My husband and I have a 5-year plan. It's now down to 4.5. The minute my twins are out of high school, we are gone. And I've loved being in his community. I've loved many things about Pennsylvania, but you can only be beaten down by idiocy and illegitimacy and people who just are corrupt so long before you're like, you know what, peace out, I'm out of here.
My mom's 83. She lives up in Butler. I just visited her a couple weeks ago. And she says all the time, live your life because this is not your practice life.
Right. Yeah, you choose how you want to be. Mike, I love hearing from you. I think you do a great job you really do a nice job of saying verbally what I feel in my heart. And so don't be ever a stranger. Let's get out to Chris in Pittsburgh. And Mike, Merry Christmas. Chris, hello. Welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, Gettysburg. You got me confused.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here you go. I like Gettysburg even better. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for all the research and reading that you do. Love that.
Thank you.
And all 3-letter agencies are compromised. All of them.
I don't disagree with you.
And I think that the vaccine has an ingredient in it that is triggered and heated up with 5G.
It sounds crazy, and I feel like a lot of the things I feel in my heart are crazy. And I sit on things for a long time before they bring them to you. But some things don't feel crazy anymore. Who knows? I hope you're wrong, Chris, but I appreciate your calls. Get out to Harry in Chicago. Hi, Harry. Merry Christmas.
Hi, Merry Christmas. You had a caller that was on talking to you about Lori Lightfoot.
Sure. Mike in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Hello, this is Harry.
No, I got you. Go ahead, my dear. Yes, I know who you were talking about.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Now, what I was saying was that Lori Lightfoot is doing things that I think are really against the law because Illinois passed a law that was back in 1997. I think it was the I can't think of it right now. It was really the Health Act that Edgar passed, and that's for conscientious objectors to it. That I guess it was basically for their health. It really is what's happening right now with everybody having religious exemptions.
Sure.
Well, she's pushing this through, and it's really against the law. So I think people can sue the city and any establishment push it.
Well, I think you're going to see this is a great time to be in law school coming out as a young lawyer. I've got to say, I'm so happy to hear your voice, Harry. Thank you for placing that phone call. I think you're right. I think there is a storm of litigation brewing out there. More phone calls, 833-WBR show coming up. But if you're a business owner having some trouble maybe finding an IT company that provides 24/7 care and that really values you as a customer, the team at Sierra Experts prides itself on delivering services in a practical way by always being there for you. And that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Sierra Experts is a managed services provider that's dedicated to creating innovative IT products and services. They continually manage and monitor your site to keep your business safe from security threats. They're experts in website design, digital marketing, custom software development, network monitoring, and even backup and disaster recovery. Look, I know these guys at Sierra Experts. They are the best of the best. No matter where you live, get in touch with them. Get them on your team. 412-722-0707. Go to sierraexperts.com. All right, we still have time for more of your phone calls. 833-WBR show coming up. Boy, Mike, I know you're listening. I get it. I get what you were also talking about when you said you have to have your own. You have to make your own decisions about how far you're willing to go.
You need to turn off what you're listening to.
Because they've pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. And for those of us who can't be pushed because we are educated, we do our research, we pay attention, you follow the flow and see what everybody's up to. I'm not down with it. I agree with him 100%. Moving to South Carolina, upped it from May to March. Get out. And how about the story of the state senator who was just carjacked there yesterday? How about the folks who were held up in Philly? Do you see that video of them walking down the street? Is it any wonder that the population of Chicago is down, or of Illinois is down 122,000? I'm not surprised by that. Wait till we see what happens in California. Who would ever want to live in New York?
Did you talk about moving?
Uh-huh. Why?
Because Jeannie says you'll have to move Brock and his wife with you.
I know. Well, and then there's that one.
I mean, if you're going where I think you're going, I'm there.
You're not getting the shed. That's mine.
I'll build my own shed.
Oh, wow.
The shoe shed.
Wow, he'll build his own
We'll
shed.
not have a staircase.
No, but I'm serious. It's not even.
There's not enough room for everybody in my she shed.
Well, it started. Maybe I'll tell this story in the next block. And I love Pennsylvania. It is one of the most beautiful states ever. But the people, some of the people
running it, and I think Pittsburgh's going to get worse.
Pittsburgh's going to get worse. We have a new lackey mayor who's got nothing going on. Check some boxes.
He ran
never
on
done
nothing.
anything.
He has no history of doing
yeah,
anything.
let's get for him.
Government.
Okay, whatever. That's on you. Are you still nursing that bagel?
No, I don't have a she shed yet. That's when we move.
You don't put up tacky ornaments and stuff at Christmas time, do you?
You mean
light
ornaments
things
on my
up,
trees?
You don't decorate your shed with a bunch of flashing lights and.
No.
Okay.
That would cost money.
Oh my heavens. So I'm in this weird situation where every time I look at the clock, I see triple numbers. I see triple digits wherever I go. Triple, triple, triple. Whether it's on a license plate, a street sign. I think my angels are talking to me. I'm kind of liking this. Is it bad to keep playing Christmas music after Christmas, or do you have like a leeway? See, I'm inclined to say enough is enough already, but I think you do have like that grace period in that week after.
I think it's the whole holiday spirit. So after the first.
So after the first, it's kibosh. No, we all hate each other again.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. At least we've got the rules down. Let's get out to Craig in McKeesport. Hello, Craig. Thank you for being patient and welcome to the Wendy Bell radio program.
Oh, hi, Wendy. It's very nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
I was wondering, I started a little late watching the show, but did you hear about Pfizer buying a pharmaceutical company, Arena Pharmaceuticals?
I have not heard that. Tell me about it.
Well, Arena Pharmaceuticals' main, flagship medicine that they sell is for heart inflammation.
Okay.
So it kind of reminds me of your proverbial arsonist fireman that Pfizer would be buying that company.
Right. So if we're going to buy something, we're going to make something, and we knew January, February, and March of this year that there were some really bad numbers of people suffering some heart conditions. We're going to extrapolate from that data, which we've asked the FDA to try to hide for us for 75 years. But we're going to get this other company that's known for making medicine to treat that. Yes. Now you're talking about the firefighter arsonist. 100% correct.
Yep.
I like the way you're thinking. Isn't it sad that this is what we have to talk about? I mean, honestly, that you look at this and you're like, this just in, this doesn't feel right, right?
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate you paying attention and listening to the program, Craig. Thank you so very much, sir. Have a Merry Christmas. All right. Who do we have? Yes, hit enter. There we go. Oh, we got Dana in California. Hello, Dana. Welcome to the show. Great to hear from you.
Hi, Wendy. You are my favorite person.
Oh, that's so nice. What part of California?
She just said that to me too, so don't feel.
Oh, sure.
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, I'm sorry. What part?
Yes, I am sorry to be from Los Angeles too, but I'm originally from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I moved to Los Angeles in August of 2020 for a health problem. I needed dry heat. And so here I am, never knowing that I would be living in a communist place.
Right.
My daughter visited me the last week now for the holidays from Michigan, and I'm telling you, walking around and trying to take her places and try to go places, we now live in a place I do not know anymore.
Well, right, and you're coming from the land of Gretchen Whitmer.
I am.
So
I
that's
left Gretchen Whitmer only to come to Newsom.
Right. Oh, it's like, you know what? That's not even a lateral move. That's stepping down into. You just got thrown down the steps. Is what happened to you.
I had to because of my health. You see, but now it didn't even matter. I should have just, shoulda, woulda, coulda. But the thing is, in Los Angeles, what I'm afraid of is what Lori Lightfoot just did. Oh, Gavin Newsom's chomping at the bit. And, it's so, in going to Universal Studios, going to different places and trying to have a great time with my daughter and going places, it ain't fun anymore.
No, 100%. My son, who goes to school not far from you at Loyola Marymount University, not far from the airport, just found out that
right by it.
Right. Just found out that his first 2 weeks are going to be online. I bit the bullet when I bought his airfare in November for him to come home at Christmas and bought the insurance because I'm like, who knows what's going to happen with this? Thank God. Because I said, why would you want to be, aside from the weather, why would you want to be stuck in your dorm room doing online classes when you can at least be home and mom cooks dinner every night? I don't know if he's going to fall for it, but right. You're absolutely right. And there's dry heat other places. Yeah. Arizona's not bad. I like Arizona.
It's not bad.
Check it out.
I'm going to go back to you bet. But I want to tell you and Brock and all of what you do, thank you so very much for everything. God bless you and Merry Christmas.
That's the sweetest. Dana, and best wishes to you and to your health and for your daughter. Merry Christmas to you as well. See, all it took was Mike picking up the phone from Chicago and saying what he said. To open the floodgates of how many other people who pay attention to this program across America. If you live in a blue city, in a blue state, you're like trapped, I feel you, which is going to lead into the next segment. The plan, the 4.5-year plan. How many of you have one? You're listening to the Wendy Bell Radio program. More after this.
Hi.
So we still have the Joy Reid sound.
Ah, you know what? That's a great, thank you for telling me that. We'll play that next. You know what? I feel for her. She's just bat crap crazy. I think I've crossed over from I'm feeling like, bad to just go away.
Like we get testy, fussy, if you will. But I mean, she's just mean. Like the name calling, like you're national, and
she hates white people.
She really does.
She really hates white people.
Yes, she does.
There are black people I don't like, but I don't hate black people. She hates white people.
I go even farther. If you disagree with Joy Reid, she hates you. Like, and that's what I don't understand. I don't hate the people that disagree with me. I feel bad for them because I don't think they're thinking with logic. But I don't hate you. Even the trolls on here, I don't hate them. Like, they say what they say, okay. Like, I mean, she has a visceral response. And you can tell when somebody's talking if it's a show or if they truly 100% mean it, right? It's not a show with her.
I agree.
Like, she means it. And you can tell because it just doesn't flow.
You know, that's how Jen Psaki feels when she answers a question and she disagrees with the person who's talking to her. It's that sanctimonious, but it's beyond that. It's sanctimonious ire. I hate you. How dare you?
Who are you?
Who are you to question us?
And a lot
and I'm
of
like,
times,
yo, you work for me.
I'll say it is the left that has that, I went to college.
Yeah.
You know
well,
what?
so did
I have 2 degrees.
And beyond.
I have 2 degrees too. You know what they're worth?
Yeah, you're right. And my husband wasn't done with his education until he was 33.
Yes, right.
So, okay. Right? Doctors make way too much money. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
He started getting paid maybe a year.
I think I made more money than him, than he did until I was like 35.
Well,
and in television news in the beginning is not a lucrative job.
Media isn't necessarily a lucrative job.
It can be.
It can be. I wouldn't know.
Hey, man, minimum wage is what you get. Brock's pushing for the $20 minimum wage.
Hey, come on, Pennsylvania. 20. I'm waiting for the 15.
I just call it a living wage.
Yeah.
Can you still live?
Living?
Yeah.
That's the thing. We call it a living wage. But who's
Here
living
is this
where?
powdered potato soup and the loaf of bread and some peanut butter.
Wait.
Thank you.
You know the story of the loaf of bread?
No, I just brought all that up just because. Brock apparently was running out of money before the holiday when he was at Duquesne University here in Pittsburgh.
Apparently?
Well, and
Brock was out of money.
And apparently he had 1 can or 1 jar of powdered potato soup and a loaf of bread that he had to stretch out. Did they not have food banks at that time? Was there no help for you, or were you too proud? Okay, well, I get it.
Well, I mean, I was going home. I was just waiting until
biding your time.
Christmas and waiting for the Christmas. I worked in a mill type place, and I knew I was going to get a Christmas bonus.
It wasn't a mill type place. It was the mill. It wasn't a steel mill.
No, it wasn't a steel mill. It was like a shop kind of place.
You swapped the floors.
No.
Okay.
I did a little welding.
Well, I
little
worked a
grinding.
little more than you did then, apparently. I worked at Yogurt Delight, okay, and Foot Locker, okay, and Hooters, okay. Do we need to say anything more?
You were diversity for them.
There was an equal opportunity check they had to hit. That's outstanding.
Yeah, they said, where are all the girls with the
They were,
ego?
no, they were saying, well, she's got nice legs.
You sure that's what they said?
Absolutely. I have a 33-inch inseam, okay? That's big, long.
Okay.
Fabulous!
Wow.
For those of you who were not plugged in, there you go. Wouldn't it be a shame if people weren't able to not take themselves seriously? Like, we have so much fun. And people were like, you're mean to her.
Yeah, I get accused being mean to you all the time.
Whatever. Ooh, bad joke Friday and good news. If you have a good news story to share or bad joke, go to WBRBrock@gmail. He loves getting messages. I'm right now.
I hate you.
Okay. My clip's falling off again. Does it make me look slimmer? I think so.
No.
Yes, it does.
Liar.
I look fabulous. Just give into it. Yeah, I gotta say, you've done a nice job with those. That I like that. That's a good song.
That's what I do.
I know. I like it. Welcome back, everybody. The final half hour. Remember, tomorrow, bad jokes and good news, WBRBrock@gmail.com. If you have a good story you want to share with us, it's become, and this is a sad statement, it's become increasingly difficult to find and rip off from assorted television stations a good news story. The good news segment is essentially 12 minutes long. It's this block tomorrow. And so we hunt and peck and spend hours trying to find the stories that actually are worth paying attention to. When I was on TV, I remember they'd always call them the kickers. That's the kicker story. You know, the one that they milk you through every single commercial break, and then the last, 45 seconds is actually whatever the story is. When I was a TV reporter, my favorite thing to do was the feature stories. And they are excruciatingly complicated to do. They take a lot of time. They take a lot of care, a lot of editing. But they're the stories that everybody remembers. They don't do that anymore. Very unusual to find a TV station or a television network that focuses on something that doesn't make you want to throw somebody down the stairs, right? So if you've got an idea, let us know, WBRBrock@gmail.com. We're also searching for recipes. We're going to put out a cookbook, and there's going to be a few dubious recipes in it because they're things I make. But I think you're going to enjoy this. So if you have a family favorite, I'm always in need of new things for the cookbook. All right, so let's talk about this. I really do feel badly for people who are so afflicted. And I'm not sure what the word is. If they're so consumed by hatred or by insecurity, or if they're enraptured by this concept of constantly living in fear, or I don't know the psychology of this. But Joy Reid on MSNBC, I've now crossed over from feeling badly for her, I feel bad for her, to now she's just malignant. She is just a nasty human being. She hates white people. It's a fact. Listen to her, watch her. It is a terrible thing to say. She hates us, okay? She hates people on the right. There's no negotiating. There's no having a conversation like we had early in the program with Dr. Noor Chasm, he and I disagree on stuff. I love hearing him talk. He's educated. We should have more points of view. She does not want to hear from you. This, however, I think takes the case. Brock, set this up for us. Who's she talking to? Is this the one with the Dr. Gupta, where he's basically saying that people who are unvaccinated not only are second-class citizens but shouldn't get care?
Yes, he's the MSNBC medical correspondent.
So he's Leanna Wen.
Sort of,
Who's
yes.
another,
or Sanjay Gupta.
Yeah, they're all just put them all in the boat.
There's another doctor. She doesn't speak in this clip, but there's another doctor on their quote unquote panel.
Okay. All right. So I want you to hear this. I just don't know how you can defend this degree of vitriol from anyone about anything. Go.
So I'm running out of ideas about what to do if people are refusing to protect themselves and other people. There is stats out today that we're talking about. Let me find this here. 140 new COVID infections, 140 million new COVID infections to the U.S. in the next 2 months, according to the latest model. 140 million new cases. I mean, I'll just let you comment, because I don't know what we do at this point. Honestly, Dr. Gupta, I don't know what else to do.
Good evening, Joe. It's great to be here with you and Dr. Watts. I mean, what I will say here is I think we have to move away from this paradigm of even thinking about caseloads day over day, because it's overwhelming, it's psychologically depressing, it's discouraging, and really thinking about, for the vaccinated, the triple vaccinated, are there serious breakthrough illnesses that are landing in Dr. Watts' hospital or in my ICU, and really following that metric, number one. So I think we have to frame shift here, because these vaccines, like the flu shot, will mitigate the risk of severe illness. They do that really well. They won't prevent a positive test. So psychologically shifting that frame, critical. To your point, what can we do moving forward? I'm really encouraged that the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals removed the stay on the Department of Labor's order to private employers to say either do a weekly test or mandate the vaccine. That is going to have traction here, number one. So we're going to see more movement in the private sector. And then I do think negative incentives, whether it's a vaccine mandate in the workplace or, and this is where it gets controversial, but we need to start talking about this, the bioethics of it, broadly, because this is not the last respiratory pandemic we're going to face, Joy. What do we do with somebody who's unvaccinated, who's taking advanced ICU therapies from somebody who is vaccinated in the hospital? How do we rank order that priority? We do it for organs, kidneys, livers, lungs. We say, did you smoke? Did you drink recently? If you did, you're lower on the list, even if you need it. We need to start thinking of that model, have bioethics around it, a framework, because this is not going to be the last respiratory pandemic we face.
What you're equating and putting into one singular bucket everybody out there. And judging from my math skills, it looks like it's about 65 million Americans who have not gotten vaccinated for whatever reason. My reason? I've had COVID and I'm healthy. Brock's reason? He has epilepsy, and his physician has told him it's not a good idea for someone who's epileptic. Aaron Rodgers, his decision? He's allergic to an ingredient in the mRNA. His doctor said, it's not wise for you to do that. But we're going to take all that aside and forget you, and we're going to put you in this bucket, the bucket of deplorables, if you want to. And we're going to put you over here and we're going to say, you're just like the guy on the liver transplant list who's still drinking. Are you out of your mind? Furthermore, even more offensive is the frantic magic 8-ball shaking that allows this Dr. Gupta, who's so serious, to project and predict this is going to be overflowing our hospitals. 120, 140 million Americans in the next month or two. They're going to overflow the hospitals. They're going to take space that I should get. Ew. Can you believe that? By the way, what that means is if by March this jazz isn't ancient history, if this Omicron variant spreads through like wildfire and that many people are infected, that means that many people are recovered. That means it's over. The control is over. Flagman, get your freaking truck and your flashing lights and get off the highway. We're tired. We're done with you trying to control traffic. We know that the bridge isn't out. We know that it's not icy. We know there's no falling rocks. We know there's not a 10-car pileup. We just know you like to be in charge of where we can go and how we can go there. And you can suck it. I'm sorry, was it too soon?
No, I'd like to see a study that says what's truly causing hospital problems. Lack of workers?
Wait, would you please stop being logical? So wait a minute. Are you saying the same hospital employees, many of whom are young nurses who, like most women, dream of one day having children of their own, who might have done what? Not gotten the jab? And then to have what happen to them? Lose their jobs?
Or people just getting overworked because there's not enough staff. Well, if you have to have so many people working to have so many beds available, so if you only have enough beds for 5 patients, we'll say, and you lose a nurse and now you're down to 4 beds.
Do you remember
and
the story?
One COVID person comes in, they're 25% of the capacity.
Well, and then, of course, the thing that helps spread that story to further demonize and vilify those who have every constitutional right to say no if they wish to this virus is to use the percentages. So rather than saying there are only 4 people and one of them is blank, we're going to start using percentages because it makes it sound worse. You know, there's a reason we did a story not that long ago on this one community, I believe in upstate New York. They had an emergency facility. I'll say it's a small community hospital. The only area, the only facility serving 50,000 residents. And they had to close because they can't get the staff. They had to close because there are mandates there that some of the people who work under aren't willing to acquiesce to. And you want to blame this, which is the direct result of lousy policy and out of control government, derelict Democrats by and large, lackey Republicans who don't have backbones to stand up against it. Like Lori Lightfoot's Chicago. I'm going to call in the ATF for help because crime is out of control. Well, no, duh. I mean, literally. Are they dumb or do they think we are? I can't tell which is worse. Complicit, complacent, corrupt, D, all the above. And I should have mentioned to Mike from Chicago when we had him on the phone, high-ranking Illinois state senator and her husband carjacked on the west side of Chicago 2 days after the mayor made a U-turn and asked ATF for help. Philadelphia, another lawmaker, robbed at gunpoint in the middle of the day on a sidewalk. What? Oh, I'm sure Mayor Kinney is so happy about that. Isn't that his name? Kenny, whatever the hell his name is. Loser. 0. You're a 0, brother. And you're going to say, I don't understand what's going on. It's just unacceptable. It must be because there's so many guns on the street. Right. That must be it. Want to thank Morgane's Fitness, Kelly and Dave Morgan, who are the sponsors of this segment of our program. Kelly is an Air Force veteran. Dave is a former police officer, and collectively they've opened 4 singularly unique and super awesome, how do I want to say this? It's more than a fitness facility. It's a place where you're safe, where you're part of the family, where you never have to show your papers, and where you can come and go 24 hours a day. It's called Morgane's Fitness. 2 locations, Somerset County, 2 in Cambria County. They've got everything you need inside. But I like to say it's the people who run the business and those they employ that make More Gains Fitness special. If the time is now for you to get your body back and you live in that area, please go get in touch with them. More Gains, MORGAINZ fitness.com. These are patriotic, American-loving people, and we support them in what they do. All right, we're going to step aside real quickly. When we come back, the last gasp of the show. Mike told us about his plan to move to Hilton Head. I'm going to share my plan and why it's such a shame that so many of us feel like it really is the last thing we can do. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program.
JD out.
Yes, Steve. Thank you.
I need to go to AIM to get my beach body ready.
Yeah? Well, I think the guys who I talked to, Brock, who told me that they lost 50 or 60 pounds in 5 weeks, 6 weeks, like, that's bananas. I can do anything for 5 weeks. Shoot, we've been doing this for 635 days.
You mean the show?
No, the COVID.
I mean, I've done this show since September 7th without a day off. So.
Looks like it's going to be quite a bit longer, too.
I don't know where you think you're going. Oh.
Wow. Can I clean up a little bit?
Today? I can't. What? No, I'll probably have a beer at home, but no, I just can't. I don't know what Kate's working, so I don't want to have to go home and take care of the pups. HR does deny vacations.
I didn't hear you. Thank goodness. What?
Oh, no, thank goodness you didn't hear me. Someone says HR denies vacations, and I said yes. Here we go. JD.
John D'Onofrio is the lawyer I trust when it comes to something that's pretty delicate. I mean, nobody really wants to sit down and say, honey, let's go over all of our financial information and we'll talk about what happens to all of our cash after we die, right? Nobody said that. Well, you will say that when you meet John D'Onofrio and he says, you know what, putting together a roadmap for what happens to your estate and all your hard-earned assets after you're gone is not complicated. You can trust me. I've been doing it for 40 years. I know what's going on, and I know all the ins and outs of the taxes. You've already paid enough in taxes. You want the most of your money to go where it should go. That's to the people you love. 412-928-2068. Get in touch with John D'Onofrio today and make your appointment. You're liking this way too much.
You gotta love the Christmas music.
Well,
small doses.
I knew something was weird when the bumper music around John D'Onofrio's spot started going down, fading into the abyss. And I was like, either he's having a panic attack or...
Which we know isn't the case. You
True.
know something else is coming, either Toto or some cheesy Christmas.
So you like this one. I like the rock one better. What's the rock one?
I really
one was
like this one.
Wow. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wakes people up and it says, look, pay attention to me. right?
You're all about pay attention.
Well, duh. I mean, come on. You know, I was listening to Mike, and normally we try to get your phone calls in and try to not make you feel as though your thoughts are rushed or we don't care. So there's this delicate dance in radio with time restraints and letting people talk and then saying, okay, we got to go to another caller. I, however, was captivated by what Mike from Chicago said, because I feel the same way here in the land before time. And what Mike was saying, if you're just tuning into the program, was, you know, he's lived in Chicago for 23 years or however long, and he can't do it anymore. They've taken away every single ounce of dignity in living a free life there. And you have to show proof of this and proof of that. And have you done this? And have you done that? You can't go here. You can't go there. And enough. And he said something. He says, you have to decide what is going to work for you. Are you going to bend over yet again? Because at this rate, you might as well just stay in that position. It's just going to keep coming your way. One of the things I used to do, and I've kind of fallen off of the wagon doing this, I know. One of my ways of relaxing is sitting down and looking at super overly priced real estate in Florida. And, you know, it started, the homes I was looking at were, you know, $750,000. And then I was like, well, you know, we have 5 kids. Ostensibly, we will have grandchildren. We're going to need a little. So we upped it to $1.5 million. Well, I'm in the $2 and $2.5 million range. No, this is nothing I can afford. This is nothing I'm planning on buying. But it's always fun to cyber dream. Right? And so I'll cyber dream. And the worst part is realtors find out you've been sniffing around their website. So then they get your number and they call you. I don't want to call. I don't want to be called. I'm not coming your way anytime soon. But, you know, if you do find something that's canal property that's got a boat dock on it and I can fish, we can put up some tiki torches, right? We have a nice pool. See grandkids in the future. I'm in. Literally, I hyperspace from whatever is going on here in Pennsylvania to this dream sequence I have of still working. You can do what I do anywhere, and I can bring Brock and Jason with me, right?
How big's my room gonna be?
Oh, gee whiz. So what I can do anywhere. My husband could step down from whatever he's doing and do something in a smaller capacity, still be clinical, but maybe not the punishing call or wearing the lead that's fudged up his neck in the cath lab. Who knows? And I dream of this. And we have a timeline. It's not something punitive. It's not like, yeah, screw you, Pennsylvania. But it's getting to be that point. Because I've watched what had been Joe's childhood neighborhood, which is wrapped around a very special church and school where all 5 of my boys have gone. And I've watched year after year the steady progression of a different kind of person coming in and infiltrating the neighborhood. There's a lack of friendliness and neighborhoodliness. And that's also what I feel in the city I live. It's not all of Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is gorgeous. There's some fantastic places where people believe in the things that I believe in. I just don't happen to be fortunate enough to live there. So like Mike said, you have a choice. You can either deal with what you deal with, go along with what they say, or you have to make a change. And if that changes, you're not going to eat out, you're not going to travel, you're not going to go to the gym, you're not going to go to a sporting event, and you're going to do just fine for a finite amount of time until this ridiculousness and the clone troopers move along and wake up from their trance. So be it. But remember, the dream is a very, very palpable motivator. It is an escape that takes you somewhere away from the here and now and lets you know that there is a time and a place that is in your control, where the flag man and the accident up ahead are moved out of the way, where you drive at your pace. Whether it's cyber dreaming for overpriced real estate or expensive cigars or whatever, embrace a moment of yours today because it's important. Thanks for joining us. Tomorrow, we're here. Bad jokes, good news, you name it. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio program. Peace.